you. Tell you why I'm calling him that. Maybe you'll agree with me after you hear this audio. Devin Nunes compared Trump's Ukraine plot with George Washington negotiating the 1794 treaty with Britain. What kind of buffoon are you? You are an elected official. You're comparing what Donald Trump did to what Washington did in 1794. This idiot. Play this audio.
Finally, the Democrats' fake outrage that President Trump used his own channel to communicate with Ukraine. I'll remind my friends on the other side of the aisle that our first president, George Washington, directed his own diplomatic channels to secure a treaty with Great Britain. If my Democratic colleagues were around in 1794, they'd probably want to impeach him too.
Yeah, that's a great comparison there, you idiot. This guy is such a disgrace, it's unbelievable. You know, the Republicans want to go after Schiff. What would they say about Nunes if this was on the other side, comparing what took place between the president and the president of the Ukraine to what happened in 1794 with George Washington? What a joke this guy is. And by the way, it doesn't end there for Devin Nunes. Yesterday, did you see what he did in regards to Lieutenant Alexander Goodman? Have a listen to this audio.
Mr. Vindman, you testified in your deposition that you did not know the whistleblower.
Ranking member, it's Lieutenant Colonel Goodman, please.
Lieutenant Colonel Goodman.
Yeah, it's Lieutenant Colonel, you dope. Here's another guy who never served. Here's another guy who sits up there and insults Alexander Goodman. What a dope. And here's another guy, another Republican who's insulting him from Utah, Chris Stewart. He's questioning why he wore the military uniform to the hearing. I want you to listen to this audio very, very carefully.
Lieutenant Colonel Goodman, I see you're wearing your dress uniform. Knowing that's not the uniform of the day, you normally wear a suit to the White House. I think it's a great reminder of your military service. I, too, come from a military family. These are my father's Air Force wings. He was a pilot in World War II. 5 of his sons served in the military. So as one military family to another, thank you and your brothers for your service.
Yeah, okay, I'm sure that's why he brought that up. Oh, I noticed you're wearing your uniform. Yeah, if that's not a backhanded compliment, I don't know what is. Absolutely outrageous and ridiculous. You know, we had conservative talk show host Brian Suits on our show last month. This is a Purple Heart recipient. Again, a conservative talk show host. This man is not on the left. And I asked him, what do you think about these attacks on Alexander Goodman? Here's what he had to say. He was on our show last week.
It's disgusting to go after a active duty American hero. I mean, this guy's bio sounds like you wouldn't believe if you submitted this in a script in Hollywood, it would be rejected. If Andrew Sorkin wrote this into The West Wing, they would reject this and say unbelievable.
And again, this is a right-wing conservative talk show host who is a Purple Heart recipient. Anybody, and I mean anybody, who served should be disgusted by this. They should be disgusted by Devin Nunes. They should be disgusted by Chris Stewart and the way they treated this man. And by the way, now this guy has to go in hiding. This is the type of country we live in now. A Purple Heart recipient who has shrapnel in his body, who risked his life for this country, is now getting death threats because he told the truth. And you could not make a better resume for this guy, Goodman. You could not. And now he has to go into hiding. And it starts with the President of the United States. And many Republicans, many on the right that have attacked this man for doing nothing but serving this country honorably and being a hero. It is disgusting, it is despicable, and it needs to stop, regardless. Now listen, if you don't think this is an impeachable offense, that's fine. I'll have that conversation with you. If you don't think that it rises to that level, that's fine. Let's have that debate. Let's have that discussion. I think it's actually a fair discussion. But what is not a fair discussion here is to say that there was no wrongdoing, especially after Sondland just testified. He said that Pompeo and Mulvaney were aware of the link between Ukraine aid and the White House meeting. This is Sondland in his own words, and it is a headline right now on Fox News, who could not be more in the bag for the president than anybody else. That is the headline on Fox News right now. Does it get more damning than that? Sondland also saying, I followed the directions of the president. that Pompeo and Mulvaney were aware of the link between Ukraine aid and the White House meeting, also saying that the vice president was involved and he had talked with the vice president and Pence was aware of this. I also find it interesting that Mike Pence will be the first one to tell you how he thinks that being gay is a sin. I wonder what he thinks about withholding aid for political gain. Apparently that's not in his Bible. Apparently that's okay, right? In his Bible, you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to withhold aid. That's okay with our Vice President, Mike Pence. That's fine. And by the way, because Mike Pence is a coward and a fraud, what does he do? As soon as this testimony starts, he jumps on a plane. What a true coward would do. You're damn right Pence knew about this stuff, and he's a liar. That's the real traitor in this situation. We'll take your phone calls. 702-257-5396, the number to call, 702-257-5396. What do you think about this? Is this the end of Donald Trump? How do you defend the president when it comes to Sondland's comments today, saying that everybody practically in the White House was involved, including Pompeo and Mulvaney, that were aware of the link between the Ukraine aid and the White House meeting? Sondland also said, yes, there was a quid pro quo in this Ukrainian scandal.
And he never mentioned Joe Biden once.
What do you mean?
He mentioned the Ukrainian server, the 2016 Ukrainian server with getting involved in the 2016 election, correct? That's a quid pro quo. It had nothing to do with Joe Biden.
No, that's incorrect. It did have a lot to do with Joe Biden.
He didn't mention that, though. Sondland didn't mention that. He mentioned the server.
But he did mention in talks with Rudy Giuliani, who is Donald Trump's attorney, that Rudy Giuliani wanted them to publicly hold a press conference in the Ukraine to talk about opening up an investigation into the Bidens. He absolutely had those talks with Rudy Giuliani. So make no mistake about it. This is absolutely in regards to Burisma, in regards to the Bidens. It's in his testimony this morning, the meetings he had with Giuliani. He had several meetings with Giuliani, and there were text messages. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, 257-5396. Why don't we start off with Doug? Doug, thank you for calling in to the Vegas Take. Go ahead.
What's up, Doug?
Well, Brian, I have another a day off, so I actually get to listen to you guys. I miss you all.
I appreciate that, Doug.
Just wanted to say, Brian, you're all fired up, and I know, and there's a lot of things out there. I'm just not sure with the actual specifics of what was talked about and what's on record as to whether a crime occurred, because asking, insisting, holding up aid to make sure that a country that you're giving the aid to is not corrupt totally, given the history of that country, is, number one, the president's duty to investigate before he sends
Okay,
aid.
let me stop you there and ask you a question.
And I agree with a lot, and remember, I'm agreeing with a lot of what you say.
No, I
all
understand,
the time,
Doug. Listen, Doug, that's a fair comment. Doug, that's a fair question. It's a fair comment. We can have that discussion. Here's the question I would ask you. Do you think at any point when he brought up the Bidens with the president of the Ukraine, and when he brought it up with many members of his staff, and that's what we're learning, this was many members of his staff, including Pompeo, Mulvaney, Giuliani. When he brings up Biden, do you think it had only to do with corruption and nothing to do with the fact that the president possibly was getting personal gain because of this, the fact that this was a political rival? Because if the answer is yes, and there was any part of Donald Trump doing that, then it is clearly abuse of power.
If you look at it the way you're thinking, and I'm going to have to be a reasonable person and say, as much as I'm conservative, want to support a president, if it was used for that nefarious a purpose, I think that's big trouble.
Do you think he did?
However,
Any point?
I think he did. I think he did. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your honesty. That's Doug. That's my way of thinking here.
But I would like to add that since the man had even announced his candidacy and taken the office, he has been subjected to attacks from inside, outside, around, left,
But that's
right.
a different discussion.
And I do think that he's trying to make sure that the Ukraine is not as corrupt as it was before, because it was involved in 2016.
Then what do you make of Sondland? Who disagrees with you, the ambassador, who says he doesn't give a you-know-what about the Ukraine? All he cares about is the Biden investigation. That is according to the ambassador.
I think he has cared more about the Ukraine than the last administration that gave them
But that's not
blankets.
the issue. We're not talking about Barack Obama. We're talking about President Trump.
No, what we're talking about, does Trump care about the Ukraine? He's made sure they have weapons.
Then why is it
He
that
did give them
Sondland
aid.
testified and he said that he did believe and he still does believe that
But that's an opinion's not a crime.
Well, but he's the ambassador. He has
I
firsthand
agree with you.
knowledge
No,
of everything.
I agree with you completely, Brian. I think it looks bad. And
Okay.
Sondland is a very reputable, honorable man who, when I watch him, I have to
Well,
question.
Doug, can I
and think
say
what's
this,
going
Doug?
on.
Can I say this, Doug? You sound
Yeah.
reasonable. I wish other Republicans were as reasonable as you, and I appreciate you calling in. I really do, Doug. I got to get to some other calls, my man. I apologize, but I appreciate your phone call. That is a reasonable discussion. Okay? That is a reasonable man who is a Trump supporter, who is on the right, who is willing to admit that this looks really bad, doesn't know if it reaches an impeachable offense, and that's fine. I'm willing to have that conversation with people. That's okay. Let's go to Anthony. Anthony, you are next on the Vegas take. By the way, that number 257-5396. Go ahead, Anthony.
Hey, how you guys doing this morning?
Good. What's up?
I have to say how proud I am of the workers in the state, those ambassadors and those folks that are working that show the oath to the Constitution and not to a person. I think it's a great job. It shows how strong our country is. And I have to say, that watching this, I think that if impeachable offenses have been committed now, I think it's proven. It should go to the Senate now.
But Anthony, let me ask you this, and I agree with you. You know I do, but let me ask you this. Do you really think that there are going to be some Republicans out there with backbone that are actually going to change their mind? Because that's really what we're talking about, Anthony. If no Republicans change their mind, which, by the way, would not surprise me one bit from what I'm hearing, then guess what? He's not going to be impeached. That's what this comes down to. Are there enough Republicans that can change their mind and say, you know what, based on Sondland's testimony, based on the actual evidence, history is going to show that I was right. Maybe I should do the right thing. Do you think there are Republicans out there that are going to do that? Because I have no faith.
Yeah, I think there are. I think there are people who understand that it is not the president's job to withhold aid for corruption investigations. I think that people in this country and our own country are shameful to understand who we are as a country and how we work.
Yeah.
We're the best of the best for a reason.
Sure.
Any investigations, any clearance for any state has already been done by the State Department.
All right, fair enough, Anthony. I mean, I respect your opinion. Listen, I hope you're right. I just don't agree with you. Sadly, I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't think there are enough Republicans with backbone out there that are going to make the right decision. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, 257-5396. Why don't we go to Nate? Nate, you're next on the Vegas take. Go ahead.
What's up,
Yeah,
Nate?
hey, Brian. You're probably going to find me unreasonable. Obama gave blankets. We gave
We're not talking about
javelin
Obama.
missiles. Okay. Tom DeLay, if you remember him.
Why are we talking about the last administration? That has nothing to do with this conversation, with all due respect.
Well, Tom DeLay is the one who went after Clinton.
We're not talking about Bill Clinton. We're not talking about Barack Obama.
What we're going to talk about is the media's and the Democrats.
I'm not interested in talking about the media. I'm not
after Mr. Trump.
That has nothing to do with the proceedings this morning. No, we're not going to go that route. I'm sorry, Nate.
You're talking about.
Go ahead, pot him down. Pot him down. Nate, I'm going to keep you on the line for a second. We are not going to talk about Bill Clinton. We are not going to talk about Barack Obama. We are not going to do whataboutism, and we are not going to talk about the media. We are talking about the proceedings this morning, moving forward. I am not going to get in the weeds with you and do whataboutism and talk about Hillary Clinton and the dossier and all these other things that you probably want to talk about. Focus on the task at hand. Let's talk about the testimony this morning. What do you think about the testimony? And I'll give you another opportunity. Go ahead.
I think that Giuliani's probably going to, fall on the sword for Trump because he's loyal. That's what I think. I think that Rudy Giuliani will, there's no direct connection here from Trump. Okay, all we have is this Sondland.
Wait, there's no what? Wait, you're telling me the president's attorney? There's no correlation there. They have nothing to do with one another. Is that what you just said?
I didn't say that. I just said I think that Giuliani's gonna take the brunt.
Okay, fine. What about Pompeo?
I don't think there's a but at all.
What about Pompeo?
Nothing
What about
happened,
Mike
Giuliani.
Pence? What about all the other people in the administration?
Okay, so they're all on the call with Trump. Okay,
it's not just
they're
about
all
the
on
call.
And he's gonna make this offer, and they're gonna say this. They do it all the time, Brian.
No, that's not
Come
true.
on
It's
now.
No, okay, so let's talk about
it's
that.
negotiation with the foreign leader. It's very, very standard.
It's not negotiation.
Of course it is, Brian. How is it not negotiation?
It's trying for personal gain. Where they're talking about withholding aid.
Right.
For personal gain.
Withholding aid to a country that may or may not be corrupt. If you give aid to a country that is corrupt, do you know where that money is going?
You're saying you withhold the aid because he thinks Ukraine is corrupt?
No, yeah. Do you know where that money is? Why would you give money to a country that's corrupt? corrupt. You don't know where the money is going after
So
the fact, Brian.
your
Why would you not want to be
Okay.
concerned about where that money could
So hold
possibly
on,
be
let me
going?
get this right.
It could be going to terrorism. It could be
I don't
going to a
wanna
lot of different things.
I don't want to
And so-
mischaracterize your opinion.
And so figuring out if the country is corrupt, I think, is necessary before you give an amount of money that large to them. So I have no problem with that particular part of the conversation.
So it is your
and
position.
And looking into Burisma, does that specifically mention the Bidens? No, it mentions that particular company, and they don't know if there is an association with the government and that company or not.
Okay, so it is your, and we got to take a break, but from what I'm hearing from you, it is your position that you believe, even though Sondland and the ambassador and other witnesses are testifying that they believe the aid was withheld because specifically they wanted an investigation opening up to the Bidens, and it is your position that you believe that Donald Trump withheld aid because of corruption.
They never once said the Bidens. They said Burisma.
Not true. Rudy Giuliani did. I don't know what you're reading from.
No,
that's not true.
Sondland in the clip that you just stated, that you just played, he said Burisma. He never once mentioned the Bidens specifically.
The Bidens were specifically mentioned with Giuliani in his meetings.
Okay,
he did testify to that.
And he mentioned the 2016 election.
We will continue
and possible
this. We got to take a break.
interference.
Let's continue this conversation on the other side, JD. He's JD Sharp. I'm Brian Shapiro. We'll take more of your phone calls, 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to continue this conversation, 702, give us a buzz, 257-5396. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You are listening to The Vegas Take.
Parents, you always say you want what's best for your children. If that's the case, then you should be bringing your kid to Infinity, the Math Institute, where every student earns an A or B in math. Our results are proven and they are amazing. The best tutoring service for the best price, whether online or in person, small group or one-on-one. You cannot get better results. Great grades will come when your child truly understands the math. From elementary math to calculus, we have the best tutors, the best materials, and the best results. Now offering free parent seminars on how to better help your child, what is Common Core, and more. Find out why parents are bragging and students are enjoying school again by calling 702-768-1777. That's 702-768-1777, or visit themathinstitute.com today. Tell them the Vegas Take sent you, because at Infinity, you don't get more math problems, you get solutions.
Right now, Doctors Without Borders medical teams are operating in some of the most remote and dangerous corners of the world. When front yards become front lines, at the crossroads of conflict and epidemic, where there are no hospitals, that's where we operate. Your response is critical to our response in places where few others will go. That's where we operate. Learn more at doctorswithoutborders.org.
There's an app to save on flights, an app to rent a bike, and an app to help you save for driving safely. The Allstate app gives you real-time driving feedback with DriveWise, giving you the power to lower your insurance cost. In fact, safe drivers can save 40% or more. Connect and save with DriveWise. You're in good hands.
Download the Allstate app today. Savings may vary by state and driving behaviors. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Use of Allstate Mobile with activation of DriveWise required. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Don't buy a new car until you hear this. Centennial Toyota is putting Black Friday savings on every vehicle for not just one day or even one weekend, but all month long. Yes, Centennial Toyota announces Black Friday savings all month long. We're making it easier than ever to get you out of that old car and into a new Toyota. Lease a new 2019 Toyota RAV4 just $199 a month. That's the all-new redesigned RAV4 with room for the whole family. Just $199 a month. Or shop hundreds of your favorite Toyota models. Camrys, Corollas, Tundras, Tacomas, Highlanders, Prius, and more. Hurry in for Black Friday savings all month long at Centennial Toyota. Conveniently located on North US 95 and the 215 Beltway. Or visit us at centennialtoyota.com. On approved credit, example model number 4430, 36 months, $39.99 due at signing, 0 security, excludes taxes, title, and $4.99 dealer fees. Expires 12/2/2019.
Hi, this is Trooper Chelsea Stunkel with the Nevada Highway Patrol, reminding drivers that with the recent legalization of recreational use of marijuana, it is still a form of impairment when you get behind the wheel. So please don't drive impaired. If you drive high, you will get a DUI.
1015 FM, 720 AM, KDON, the talk of Las Vegas.
Special report, House impeachment inquiry. EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland says Rudy Giuliani made clear the president linked release of aid to Ukraine to the announcement of investigations into the Bidens.
Everyone was in the loop. It was no secret. Everyone was informed via email on July 19th, days before the presidential call.
But Vice President Mike Pence's staff has released a statement saying he never had a conversation with Sondland about investigating the Bidens. President Trump was asked about his call with Sondland at the White House on September 11th.
What do you want from Ukraine? I keep hearing all these different ideas and theories. What do you want? What do you want? It was a very short and abrupt conversation that he had with me. They said he was not in a good mood. I'm always in a good mood. I don't know what that is.
2 more witnesses will testify today. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
This report sponsored by In-N-Out Burger. Heavy traffic remains on I-15 southbound from Washington, and then down the line, slowing will continue all the way to Tropicana, actually just past Tropicana. And along the way, an accident on 15 south at Spring Mountain at the on-ramp. And then 15 southbound, another crash at Tropicana at the off-ramp. And an accident still active 215 Western Beltway southbound at Sahara, vehicles off to the right. In-N-Out Burger Fresh Fact at In-N-Out, your fries start out as whole fresh potatoes that are hand-cut just before they're cooked, because fresh is what it's all about. John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, taking Nevadans to Capitol Hill for the latest on the federal issues that matter most to you.
Eye on Washington, Saturday morning at 9:30 on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
From office parties to family get-togethers, if you tend to overdrink, the holidays aren't always the most wonderful time of the year. But quitting completely? Well, that's just not realistic. Sound familiar? Meet LifeBack, a modern science-based approach that allows you to effectively cut back on your alcohol consumption. Using medication that's clinically proven to reduce the urge to overdrink in 92% of people, LifeBack makes drinking a choice rather than a need. Plus, LifeBack is completely private with online doctor consults, medication delivered discreetly to your doorstep, and coaching and support tools through the app. LifeBack comes with a free online doctor consultation and 30-day money-back guarantee, and the program costs less than 1 drink per day. Don't wait for end-of-the-year regrets. Starting the physician-approved LifeBack program now will allow you to drink normally during the holiday season and go into the new year healthier and happier. Visit lifebac.com or call 888-959-8858 today to learn more. That's lifebac.com or call 888-959-8858 today.
Looking for that perfect new piece of furniture for your home? A New Concept Furniture is the place to start and end your search. They'll beat any price on the internet, and they're here locally, so you can feel what you're buying first. Go to A New Concept Furniture today at 4255 South Grand Canyon to see for yourself the slick, modern, shiny store that mirrors our shiny city. A New Concept. Check out their showroom or call them at 702-570-2240. That's 702-570-2240.
Hey, it's Lee Goldberg of the GCI guys at Realty One Group. Do you know anyone that's looking to buy a home, sell a home, rent, move from California? If so, give them my number, 702-902-3029. All listeners of the Vegas Take get $1,000 in your hand back at closing. Hometown heroes, veteran, military, police, teacher, nurse, I'm giving you $2,000 back. That also goes for hospitality and casino employees. Free use of a moving truck for a day, 6 free months of home security. Call me, 702-902-3029, the GCI guys.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
If my Democratic colleagues were around in 1794, they'd probably want to impeach him too.
Thank you, the buffoon himself, Devin Nunes. Welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Coming up here at the top of the hour, we'll be joined by former mayor of Las Vegas, Oscar Goodman. And hopefully he will agree to be able to take some of your phone calls too, because I'm sure you will have plenty of questions for him. But obviously we're talking right now about the impeachment inquiry hearings. Sondland saying that, yes, there was a quid pro quo with this Ukraine scandal. And our House Intelligence Committee members are now questioning Ambassador Sondland in this public hearing. But certainly it is damning testimony. Before we get back to your phone calls, at 257-5396. And again, that number, if you want to join us, 702-257-5396. I believe there are 2 different types of Republicans when it comes to this issue. We had a few callers last segment that I felt that were very reasonable. If you're a reasonable Republican, you might not think this reaches the impeachment stage, and that's fine. I think that's a fair statement to make, and I'm willing to have that discussion with you. I would probably disagree with you, but that's fair. But those people that are reasonable Republicans would also say this was wrong of the president to do. It was beyond inappropriate. It shouldn't happen. It's beneath the presidency, and it was absolutely wrong. That is what a reasonable, and there are some reasonable people out there that believe that. Doesn't mean I'm going to agree with everything they say, and that's fine. Some of them, like I said, do not believe that this reaches the impeachment category, but it was a horrible decision by the president and a lack of judgment on his part to do this, to withhold aid, to try to open up an investigation into the Bidens. Those are what reasonable Republicans think, in my opinion. Then there are those like Devin Nunes and the Jim Jordans of the world who call this a circus and a charade. The people that will defend the president if he kidnapped a child, sadly. When Donald Trump said, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they'd still vote for me. He was talking about people like Devin Nunes and Jim Jordan, the two biggest brown-nosers on the planet for the president of the United States. And now we are learning that the Army has to protect Alexander Vindman. Is this the type of country that we should be living in? A man who has shrapnel in his body, who is a war hero. You couldn't even make up a better resume than what this guy has. And there are people on the right that are attacking him on a consistent basis. You had Chris Stewart, the Republican from Utah, a backhanded compliment about the uniform he was wearing yesterday. You have Donald Trump yesterday saying, I never knew who this guy was. Well, I'll tell you who this guy was. He's a hero. And then you have Nunes getting up there, and Vindman had to correct him on his rank. It is disgusting. It is despicable. Those are the two types of Republicans that are out there. I'm willing to have discussions with reasonable Republicans, but if you're one of those people that thinks the president did absolutely nothing wrong here, you're a joke. You're a joke. I don't know what else to say. You're biased. What else can I say? The number to call, 702-257-5396. Again, that number, 257-5396. JD, as I lay that out, I'm saying there are two different types of Republicans. You heard what I said. Do you disagree with that?
So if I don't think that this was a huge problem, then I'm a joke?
I didn't say that. If you listen to what I said, did you hear what I said?
I heard everything you said.
Okay. I'm basically saying if you don't think that the president used horrible judgment and made a terrible mistake, I'm not saying you have to believe that it is up there as far as an impeachment. I can have that discussion with somebody, even though I disagree. But if you think this is no problem and the president can do what he wants, and there was nothing wrong with that phone call, and when you read
so if I don't have a problem with it, then would that be the same thing as me saying that there is no problem here? Because I don't have a problem with him looking into the Ukraine to make sure that it is not a corrupt government.
We're not talking about the Ukraine.
Before giving them $1 billion.
I don't know why you keep saying that. We're not talking about the Ukraine and the government. We're talking about the Bidens and him wanting an investigation into the Bidens.
Right.
Why do you keep talking about Ukraine and the government?
Because Burisma is the company, and there could be an association with the corrupt government.
So let me ask you
this. And I have no
then.
problem looking into that.
But I'm not asking you
to make sure that there isn't corruption there.
I'm not asking
that corruption
you about
doesn't
that.
exist.
That's
Because if corruption does exist, and there's a chance that the $1 billion that I'm giving Ukraine could be misappropriated.
JD, that's
and
not.
I have no issue with that whatsoever.
JD, that's not why there's an impeachment hearing. It has nothing to do with that, and it has everything to do with the Bidens. It has everything to do with him bringing up the Bidens and possibly what we're learning, withholding aid because he wanted an investigation into the Bidens. This has nothing to do with the government in the Ukraine. That's not why this impeachment hearing is going on. If he never mentioned the Bidens and he never hired Giuliani to go over there and he never withheld aid in bringing up an investigation into the Bidens and Giuliani wanting the president of the Ukraine to hold a press conference saying they were reopening an investigation, I guarantee you these hearings would not happen. That's not what I'm talking about. Let's see what you think. 702-257-5396, the number to call. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Brian. Brian, you're next. Thanks for waiting on hold. What's on your mind?
What's up, Brian?
Well, JD, you're spot on, buddy. You characterized correctly the testimony thus far this morning. I've listened to every bit of it. Sondland's quid pro quo statement is this, that there would be a public announcement of an investigation into corruption, period.
And nothing to do with the Bidens.
You are totally mischaracterizing what's been said thus far.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you have. Have you listened to the testimony?
No, I'm not.
Or
Yes,
are
I
you
have.
going by news reports?
I'm on the air right now, so as we speak, obviously, I'm not privy to what he is saying, but I did listen to the conversation before I went into work this morning. You're telling me that this has absolutely nothing to do with the Bidens, that Giuliani never mentioned the Bidens to Sondland? That's not correct.
I didn't say that. I'm saying
That's what I'm
Sondland
saying.
never heard the Bidens mentioned, and he never mentioned.
What do you mean?
He
He said that Giuliani brought up the Bidens in their conversations. What are you talking about?
Not for what he had to do with the president of Ukraine, Mr. Sondland's job. It was about a public announcement of an investigation.
I just explained to you that
and
the
you're not
president's
gonna be happy
attorney
about what I
brought
have
up the
to say
Bidens.
about-
I just explained to you that the president's attorney, and by the way, Sondland testified today that he believes it was at the full direction of the president of the United States and Mayor Giuliani in the several in-person conversations they had and also text messages did bring up the Bidens. So I have no idea what you're talking about.
What context that is in, Brian?
And what context is the
with
context?
The Bidens. It has nothing to do with 2020. It has to do.
Oh, sure. How do you know that? And how do you know that?
Listen to the testimony, you'll find out.
So your position, Brian, and I appreciate the call. I appreciate the call, Brian. So your position is, so now I just proved you wrong. Your position is that Giuliani bringing up the Bidens, Trump bringing up the Bidens, had zero to do with the fact that he is running for president in 2020, had zero to do with the fact that it could have been personal gain, even though Sondland, who is an ambassador, and I will take his word over yours, specifically said that he believed that Donald Trump cared more about the Bidens than Ukraine and didn't give a you-know-what about the Ukraine. But you want to ignore facts, and that's fine. 702-257-5396. Let's start off. Let's go to Jason. Jason, what's up?
What's up, Jason? Great
good
name.
Morning. So, well, Brian, I hope that you are fair and balanced here, but you're right. There is corruption over there, and it's vast. And I think that you would want a president to look into corruption, no matter where it leads any administration.
So let me ask you this then. Let me ask you this then. And this is the question I always ask people who bring up what you brought up. I've heard this argument before. Do you believe that all of a sudden Trump cares about corruption in the Ukraine, and the reason why he brought up Joe Biden had absolutely zero to do with the fact that not only is Joe Biden a Democrat, but Joe Biden is possibly the front runner for the Democrats running against Donald Trump in 2020. Can you make that claim here?
Are you asking me if Donald Trump is worried about Joe Biden?
No, I asked you a very specific. I didn't ask you if he was worried. I didn't ask you that.
I'm going to answer you. Joe Biden is not a threat to Donald Trump.
Okay, I didn't ask you that. I didn't ask you that. You're not answering my question.
You're asking me about Donald Trump trying to take out the front runner for the Democrats.
Didn't ask you that either. No. Okay, let me repeat my question because you're not listening. I'm going to keep you on. I'm going to keep you on, and I'm going to ask it very as concisely as I could, Jason. When he brought up the Bidens involved in this situation, do you mean to tell me that it had zero to do with the fact that Trump doesn't like Joe Biden because he's a Democrat and he possibly will be the front runner running against Donald Trump? That doesn't mean that he's worried. Do you mean to tell me this had everything to do with just corruption and nothing to do with the fact that it could have been some personal gain for Donald Trump? It's a yes or no answer.
Seriously, I don't think it had anything to do with the fact that even Joe Biden
All right, Jason. All right, Jason. I appreciate your answer. Thank you. Oh, that is just lunacy at its finest. That's what I'm talking about when I say there are reasonable Republicans and then there are people like Jason. That is a ridiculous answer.
Well, I mean, it's very simple. Has Donald Trump done the exact same thing with other countries that he has given money to? Has you don't think he's investigated?
Not in regards to a presidential frontrunner.
You don't think he's investigated them to see if they're corrupt? Brian, do you know what $1 billion could do for a terrorist organization?
Okay, you asked me a question.
It could do a lot. They could buy a lot of very, very dangerous weapons. It could buy a lot of
That's not why there's an inquiry. That's not why there's an impeachment inquiry.
It could buy a lot of influence in a lot of areas
you are talking
within
about,
the government itself.
You are talking about everything that has nothing to do with the inquiry.
I think that probably 15% of this had to do with the fact that Joe Biden is,
and that's abuse of power.
Is potentially his 2020. Just let me finish, Brian, before you make a comment. Is potentially his 2020 competition in the election. I think it's kind of a sweetener that Biden is involved, but I don't believe that it is 50 or 60 or 70%, and I certainly don't believe that it's impeachable based on the amount of that percent.
So let's go by what you just said, 15%. Let's just say it was 1%, and you claim 15%. I disagree with you. I think it's more, but you're admitting that a part of this was due to the fact that this is Joe Biden, the Democrat, who possibly will be the front runner in the Democratic Party. If the president withholds financial aid to another country for any reasoning of personal gain, I mean any, it is considered abuse of power. It is simple.
But it's not simple because you can look into a country and find out if they're corrupt. And if they are corrupt, why would you want to give them money in the first place?
And let's just investigate Joe Biden.
But
Okay.
and sometimes is it his fault that Biden is attached to that particular country and looking into that?
It already was investigated, and that's not the point.
It was a very, very brief investigation.
And that's not
we
the
went
point.
over that a couple days ago.
And that's not the point.
It wasn't thorough.
The bottom line that you're defending the president when you've heard Sondland say there was a quid pro quo in this Ukrainian scandal, and the bottom line that Sondland is saying that everybody in his administration knew about this with withholding the aid, and you're defending that is unbelievable to me.
How is it unbelievable to you, Brian?
Because everybody in the White House administration knew that he was withholding aid because he wanted to dig up dirt on Joe Biden, and you're defending it.
He doesn't need dirt on Joe Biden. That's a very, very small part of this. He wanted to make sure that the Ukraine was not corrupt, and that if he gave $1 billion to the Ukraine, that it would be spent properly, Brian. That is my take.
The phone lines are full, so let's take some more calls here. Why don't we start off with Michael? Michael, you are next on the Vegas Take. What do you make of all this, Michael? Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Michael?
Go ahead, Michael.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Going great, man.
I'm a Republican, but I'm strongly against the concept of the conversations and the ways that the president's handling himself. It's too much to be making sure that we're making sure that everything's going smoothly in this presidency. And in my opinion, I think if you're gonna have testimonies and like all this stuff going on in court, we have to take some of these things for facts and then address them. So when someone says, XYZ is happening in testimony, I just don't know why everybody pushes aside and then says, like, oh, well, that's for this reason and that's for that reason. Like, if someone's sitting here mentioning these Bidens, where I've heard nonstop the Bidens being mentioned, and to some degree, I have to believe that it has to be a political group.
Of course, Michael.
I know we're not trying to do the retrospect, but I would never want a Democratic president doing this.
Of course not. Of course not, Michael. What do you think? Of course. What do you think Fox News would be saying if Barack Obama did this and tried to dig up dirt back in the day on Mitt Romney? You know, I mean,
exactly.
Michael, you are 100% right, and I appreciate your phone call and I appreciate your honesty. Thank you so much. 257-5396. I want to go to Gilbert next. Gilbert, let's see what's eating Gilbert. Gilbert, what's going on, my man? Thanks for calling in.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Sure.
So I get straight to the point. I'm a Republican, but I didn't vote for Donald Trump, and I probably won't vote for him again this election cycle. With that being said, I am grateful that someone is trying to look into what the Bidens did do, because if Joe Biden did abuse his power as vice president,
then he would do it again.
Imagine what he would do as president.
Right.
But it was already investigated, Gilbert.
It was a very, very brief investigation. It wasn't thorough.
So,
of course it
You
matters.
don't know that. You don't know if it wasn't thorough. You have no idea.
It lasted a couple of days, and House Democrats were actively involved in
because
Obama's
there's no
administration.
evidence to support that there was any wrongdoing.
$650,000.
Go ahead, Gilbert.
Thank you. So are you saying that you do not want to know the outcome of what Joe Biden and his son did?
There already was an outcome, Gilbert. Why would I? What do you mean? There already was an outcome. If the investigation was opened and now it is closed and there was no wrongdoing, no criminal wrongdoing. What do you mean I don't want to know the outcome? There already was an outcome.
Because the common sense to it is a person who knows nothing about oil and gas getting paid.
Then there are,
$6,000.
okay, listen, Gilbert, I agree. Listen, it's not against the law, and I appreciate the phone call, Gilbert. It is not against the law for his son to get a job because of who he knows, his father at the time being the vice president. Now, if you want to put laws in place that do not allow a family member of the president to get a job because of their position, then that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Then guess what? Ivanka Trump can't be taking advantage of her deals in China. That's fine. But that's not on the rule books right now. It's not a law.
It's not even close to the same thing.
It's not a law.
Here's still, Burisma was a major corporation. Ivanka Trump got a couple of trademarks, which I could get in China.
So how did he break the law? Explain it to me.
I could spend $1,000.
How did Hunter break the law?
The issue is they want to look into where the money that Burisma got from the government went.
Already looked into.
Where it went.
It was already looked into.
Is it very possible that Hunter Biden and the Biden family received much more than the $50,000 a month? It's very
There's no
possible.
evidence to support
why
that.
Would you? Why would
it
you?
was already investigated.
It was a very, very brief investigation.
So what? There's plenty of brief investigations. If there's no evidence, they close the case.
It wasn't a thorough investigation.
So because it wasn't a long investigation, you think it wasn't thorough?
Again, Joe Biden has been a politician for the better part of 40 years,
so
Brian.
What?
And just because he's Donald Trump's opponent in 2020 doesn't make him immune from investigation. Or his potential opponent, not even his guaranteed opponent.
All right, we'll take more of your. I disagree with you. We'll take more of your calls. 257-5396 is the number to call. Why don't we go to Pete? Pete, you're next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Pete?
Calling to complain. I'm hearing all this talk about all this money being passed around, everybody loading up their pockets with the oil money. My father-in-law, for many years, was a corporate deal maker, and he made big corporate oil deals for the Philippines, Mexico, and Venezuela. And I never saw one single dime of that money. No one ever thought, you know what? Let's put some money in an envelope and give it to poor little
Your
Pete,
father's
the truck
also not.
driver.
Your father also
All right?
probably wasn't the vice president of the United States, so I'm sure that might have been a part of it.
Well, still, I mean, he could have put $50 in an envelope, and you know.
I hear you, Pete.
I think
Pete,
you have a solid gripe, Pete.
Pete,
Thanks
I
for
hear
the
you.
call.
I hear you, Pete. I understand what you're saying, but the point I'm trying to make is there are no laws put in place that are saying if your father's the president or the vice president or politician, you can't take advantage of that and maybe get a job that a normal, hardworking citizen couldn't get. Now, if you want to put those laws on the books, I have absolutely no problem with that, Pete. Absolutely no problem. And I'm sorry that I'm sure your family very hardworking, but unfortunately, this is politics today. Put some laws on the books if that's the way you want to change things up. 257-5396. Why don't we go to Bill? Bill, you're next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead.
What's up, Bill?
Bill, are you there? Go ahead, Bill. All right, I think we lost Bill. 257-5396 is the number to call. Why don't we go to Al? Al, you're next. Go ahead, Al.
Good morning, guys. How
Good
are
morning.
Hey,
Good.
Al, doing well.
What's on your mind?
Good. Well, so my question to you is, do you think that if Donald Trump, and I'm no Donald Trump supporter by any means, but because this has been a nagging issue for him, sort of a nagging hamstring issue for him since he was elected, that he wants to prove that he did nothing wrong, and based on that, he's really pushed these investigations and wanted these so he could try to show that he didn't do what the left is claiming he did.
Well, if that's the case, Al, then you're making my point for me. He's doing it for personal gain. You can't withhold aid to try to prove something.
What he's saying is that Donald Trump is pretending like he doesn't want this to go on, but it's actually going on, and he likes it because it's gonna put him in the clear in the 2020 election.
Al, you believe that?
I agree with JD's point to a degree, but that's kind of what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, look.
You think this is helping the president?
I think these impeachment hearings are absolutely galvanizing.
Well, we're very divided as a country, Al, but with that being said, have you listened to the testimony?
And again, Brian, nothing is getting done currently. Nothing is getting done to help the United States of America.
That's not the Democrats' fault. I blame both parties.
But people are thinking about that.
Okay, so maybe so if the president withholds, so let me get this. Hold on.
This is a giant distraction.
Let me get this right.
Because the president wanted to look into the Ukraine and the possible involvement with the Biden family.
So if the president withholds aid for possible digging up dirt on a political opponent, we shouldn't investigate it, and there shouldn't be hearings because we're not getting anything done as a country. Is that our position now?
I'm not suggesting it shouldn't be investigated.
It's ridiculous.
I'm not suggesting it shouldn't be investigated to some degree, but this has taken over the news cycle, and this has taken up how much of Donald Trump's time. The president of the United States is still the president of the United States. He still has a job to do, and he can't do that job right now.
Well, you know what? He shouldn't have brought up the Bidens, and then we wouldn't have. Come on, me.
No, I'm serious.
He shouldn't have brought up the Bidens.
Come on, you, Brian. $1 billion to a country that may be corrupt. Where does that money go? You don't know. Do we have any idea that if
so Hunter, let's open up an investigation into an American politician. That makes a lot of sense.
Do we have any idea if Hunter Biden wasn't getting information from his father?
Absolutely zero evidence to back that up.
Giving it to Burisma and then lining his and his father's pockets.
Evidence
with that, we have absolutely no idea.
You're right. You absolutely have no idea because there's no evidence to back it up.
So an investigation. Well, why would you hire a guy like that if a situation that was not going to occur on a consistent basis?
You are bringing up accusations with no merit at all. It is ridiculous.
Why would you hire a guy like Hunter Biden if something like that was not going to take place down the road?
I just told you why.
It doesn't make any sense. You don't know why they hired him.
I just told you why. It is rather obvious.
It makes no sense to me why they hired him all because he had no experience.
We know that, but that's not breaking the law.
Was he going to increase their bottom line with his expertise? Of course not.
How many times do I have to make this point?
If he was going to increase their bottom line, it was with inside information he got from his father, the vice president of the United States.
And that is not against the law. How many times do I have to bring that up? We've said it over and over and over again.
It is if he is lining his father's pockets and his pockets in the process, and that's what they're looking into.
No evidence that the law was broken.
I have absolutely zero problem whatsoever with looking into a country like the Ukraine before giving them $1 billion to make sure the money is spent correctly. I have zero problem with that whatsoever.
And that has absolutely zero to do with this impeachment inquiry. 257-5396. Let's go to Pete. Pete, you are next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead.
What's up, Pete?
Pete, are you there? Pete, are you there? All right, we lost Pete. 257-5396, the number to call. Let's go to Mike. Mike, you're next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good.
I'd like to know if you're sitting there saying all this stuff, but when Joe Biden was on national television twice, bragging that he withheld, he threatened them if they don't fire somebody. Do you think that's against the law or that's good?
Threatening, what are you talking about? Be specific.
Joe Biden on national television said he was going to threatened Ukraine. I'm going to withhold this money if you don't fire somebody.
Guess what? Guess what? You're talking about the prosecutor, right? You're talking about the prosecutor? Is that? I just want to make sure we know what you're talking about. Is that what you're talking about? The prosecutor in the Ukraine?
No, Joe Biden on national television.
I know it's Joe Biden. Are you talking about the firing the prosecutor in the Ukraine? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, that's it. But it doesn't matter who it is.
No, excuse me. It does matter who it is, and let me talk now. Okay, it does matter who it is. You cannot compare somebody wanting to fire a prosecutor in the Ukraine with the president of the United States today wanting to dig up dirt on a political American politician. You make absolutely no sense, Mike. No sense at all. That is a horrible analogy. 257-5396.
Good call,
Let's
Mike.
go to Steve. Steve, you're next. Go ahead.
What's up, Steve?
Got 30 seconds, Steve. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, man, but I'm totally appalled that this guy is gaslighting in favor of Trump. I've been a Republican and come from a Republican family my entire life. This is not the values that the Republican Party stands for.
Amen. Amen, brother.
This leaning towards corruption that I'm seeing, this not believing in fact, this is total lunacy.
Steve, I wish there were more. Steve,
total lunacy, bro.
I agree. I agree, Steve. And it wasn't me that I'm not defending Trump, as you know. I wish there.
I mean, but for this guy to come on and try to use the relevancy of Joe Biden, who hasn't been formally accused of anything.
There you go.
But you're taking
I agree.
all of this. Our own federal security system has already said that the Russians are the
You're
ones
right.
who
You're right,
attacked us.
Steve. Steve, I apologize. I'm up against a hard break. I got to go, my friend, but I appreciate your phone call and your passion. Please call back anytime when I have more time for you. Coming up next, the mayor, Oscar Goodman, former mayor of Las Vegas. Take a quick break. Be back right after this.
Are you taking Cialis or Viagra? Marley Drug has generics of both for just $12 per tablet. That's a savings of $60 per dose. Marley Drug is an independent pharmacy delivering generic Cialis and Viagra to your door for $12 per tablet. Call Marley Drug at 800-870-4787. That's 800-870-4787. Again, 800-870-4787.
Hi, Mark Hale here with today's Energy Store. Look, when it comes to solar energy, you have lots of choices. That's the facts. SunPower by Today's Energy Store has the best solar panels, period. We treat every customer with the utmost respect and offer fair, honest pricing right up front. No sales gimmicks, no bait and switch, no pushy salespeople. The other guys can keep doing that. At Today's Energy Store, you get honest answers and the most efficient solar panels in the industry. Give us a call at 702-558-1500. That's 702-558-1500. Demand better solar.
If you need to sell your house,
talk to Aaron Taylor.
You want to sell it fast and get the most cash, talk to Aaron Taylor,
the real estate guy.
Happy holidays, Nevada. I get asked all the time, Aaron, how do you do so much business? What's your secret? Well, the answer is simple. We always place our clients' needs first. We ask the right questions, and we go over a 3-step program. Number 1, we will buy your home cash in 5 days, giving you top dollar. Number 2, make all repairs to your house with our money, then list the property, getting you top dollar. Number 3, use our 25 years of experience and our amazing marketing strategies to get you top dollar. Also, getting you a cash advance if needed for the holidays. So call your top agent today, Aaron Taylor, the real estate guy, 702-310-6683. That's 702-310-MOVE. 702-310-6683, powered by eXp Realty. Call for details. License number 38886.
talk to Aaron Taylor,
the real estate guy.
It's the Medicare Advantage and Prescription Drug Annual Election Period, or AEP. It's that time of year when people with Medicare review their health insurance choices and can choose to enroll in a Medicare Advantage or prescription drug plan for the coming year. Plans can change every year, so if you're already a Medicare Advantage plan member, be sure to check. Humana has several plan options in your area. Most Humana Medicare Advantage plans offer extra coverage and services like vision, hearing, and dental benefits, health and wellness programs, virtual telehealth, and prescription drug benefits. Consider a Humana Medicare Advantage plan today. If you have questions about a 2020 Humana Medicare Advantage option, stop by Humana Neighborhood Center, located in Henderson, Summerlin, and North Las Vegas, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. or call 702-837-4401. TTY is available for the hearing impaired to speak to a licensed insurance agent. Don't delay. The AEP runs through December 7th.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Special report, House impeachment inquiry. Gordon Sondland is on the hot seat today.
You testified that Mr. Giuliani was expressing the desires of the president, correct?
That's our understanding, yes.
But how did you know that? Who told you?
Well, when the president says, talk to my personal attorney, and then Mr. Giuliani, as his personal attorney, makes certain requests or demands, we assume it's coming from the president.
Sondland says he kept everyone in the loop about what was happening in Ukraine.
A lot of people were aware of it, and
including Mr. Mulvaney.
Correct.
And including the Secretary of State.
Correct.
He testified he was following orders.
At all times, I was acting in good faith. I was acting in good faith. As a presidential appointee, I followed the directions of the president.
Rudy Giuliani tweets his communications with Sondland were requests and not demands. I'm Mike Moss. Court documents show 2 jail guards responsible for monitoring Jeffrey Epstein the night he killed himself were allegedly sleeping and browsing the internet instead of being on guard. The guards are charged with lying to prison records to cover themselves. Jason Foy is an attorney for one of those guards.
It is our hope that we'll be able to reach a reasonable agreement in this case. If we cannot, after we've reviewed the evidence, we'll be prepared to defend them in this case moving forward.
Disney says Disney Plus account passwords being sold in underground hacking forums are coming from previous breaches at other companies predating last week's launch of its streaming service. Companies found no evidence of a security breach and that user account problems are quite limited right now. On Wall Street, stocks have taken a drop. The Dow is off 170, make that 183. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
This report sponsored by In-N-Out Burger. Heavy traffic remains on I-15 southbound from Washington, and then down the line, slowing will continue all the way to Tropicana, actually just past Tropicana. And along the way, an accident on 15 south at Spring Mountain at the on-ramp, and then 15 southbound, another crash at Tropicana at the off-ramp. And an accident still active 215 Western Beltway southbound at Sahara, vehicles off to the right. In-N-Out Burger Fresh Fact at In-N-Out, your fries start out as whole fresh potatoes that are hand-cut just before they're cooked, because fresh is what it's all about. John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
For more than a year, the whole of Vermont was captivated by the hunt for a runaway golden retriever. Read Catching Murphy, the latest book from the Associated Press, available now exclusively at Amazon.com.
Don't buy a new car until you hear this. Centennial Toyota is putting Black Friday savings on every vehicle for not just one day or even one weekend, but all month long. Yes, Centennial Toyota announces Black Friday savings all month long. We're making it easier than ever to get you out of that old car and into a new Toyota. Lease a new 2019 Toyota RAV4 just $199 a month. That's the all-new redesigned RAV4 with room for the whole family, just $199 a month. Or shop hundreds of your favorite Toyota models, Camrys, Corollas, Tundras, Tacomas, Highlanders, Prius, and more. Hurry in for Black Friday savings all month long at Centennial Toyota. Conveniently located on North US 95 and the 215 Beltway. Or visit us at centennialtoyota.com. On approved credit, example model number 4430, 36 months, $39.99 due at signing, zero security, excludes taxes, title, and $4.99 dealer fees. Expires 12/2/2019.
101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDON, the talk of Las Vegas. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us on a Wednesday. A lot to get to, of course, we're going to continue to cover these impeachment inquiry hearings. But, you know, the guy on the line with us right now, I love this guy. He was a fantastic mayor here in Las Vegas. Of course, we all know his wife, Carolyn Goodman, who was just on our show last week. The great Oscar Goodman joining us right now on the line. Oscar, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's great being with you, Brian. Am I glad that I didn't agree to drive up there in this horrendous rain?
We don't get a lot of rain in Vegas, Oscar, do we? But it does.
No, we don't. As a matter of fact, most people, it was interesting. I came over to my little office today at the Convention Authority, and I had a meeting here with a young fellow who was doing a paper for his school, and they were supposed to meet me here at 8 o'clock. Well, I come in at about 12 minutes of 8, and the entire parking lot was empty. I said,
oh, wow.
Is it a holiday? And
people don't know how to drive in the rain here. They just don't.
No, they don't. It's the people worse than anything. It's
You're right.
unbelievable.
Oscar, I have so many questions to get to with you in a short period of time.
What's happening on the TV now with
I know.
the impeachment hearing? It's very interesting.
Well, okay. Well, let's start there then. My opinion, Oscar, is that this is very serious with the stuff that Sondland is talking about. I don't know what your position is on this when it comes to Donald Trump. I do think this is very serious. I don't think this is good for Republicans. I think the country is suffering for this. What do you make of this impeachment inquiry? I think there's two different types of Republicans. There are the Republicans that are reasonable, that say, well, this might not reach to impeachment, but it's certainly inappropriate. And then there's other Republicans that are calling this a circus, a charade. What do you see?
I don't see it as a charade. I'm glad that it's public. I really, unless it's for security reasons, I can't see why the depositions, as they call them, would be held privately. But it wasn't as though the Republicans were being barred from attending. They just chose not to attend, many of them, during the deposition period. But today, just in passing, I turned the TV on and I saw Sondland testifying. I got to be quite frank, he threw the president under the bus.
He certainly did, yeah. You're right. And everyone else in the administration, right? He's talking about Pompeo knowing about this. He's talking
the
about
whole world.
Yeah.
He said, the whole world except us.
Yeah.
And you and myself, we had no idea this was happening. But
yeah, exactly.
The whole world apparently knew this was happening. But, you interject Giuliani into the mix. There's no telling what kind of mischief was being created.
Well, what do you think happened here? You've represented some people that have been involved in some mischief.
I wouldn't want to speculate. It's such an important decision. I appeared representing our federal judge.
Sure.
Back at the end of the last century, before the United States Senate, we had an impeachment hearing. I think it was the first impeachment hearing of the century, as far as the judge was concerned. And it was an awesome experience, of course, being in that spot. But everybody took it seriously. We tried to pave new law because it was so amorphous as to what are high crimes and misdemeanors,
right?
And whether or not this is a trial, whether rules of evidence apply, whether or not the entire Senate had to sit in judgment, or they could defer it to a committee, which then made a report to the Senate. So there are matters of first impression all the way down the line. But the one thing I could say is that some of the senators took it very, very seriously, and others were pretty cavalier about it. And it was very disappointing to me in the sense that I was making the closing argument before the entire Senate, and the testimony that had been taken during the trial or hearing, whatever you want to call it, the proceeding, had been placed in a booklet. And the presumption was that all of the senators would have read what's in the booklet because they were sitting in judgment of that. That was the facts as brought out during the hearings. My closing argument weren't the facts, but I would look around, and some of them had never broken the spine, so to speak, of these books, and I knew they hadn't read it, and they treated it like it wasn't an important matter. But of course, it was very, very important.
And you know what? Sadly, Oscar, I think there's a lot of, I guess you could say, comparisons to what's transpiring today.
I think there is. I think some of these folks are half asleep.
Yeah.
But to me, the testimony of all the parties, whether they're pro the president, anti the president, I see it as riveting. Maybe it's my background as a lawyer.
No, I do too. Oscar, make no mistake about it. I do too. It certainly makes for good radio. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with former mayor of Las Vegas, Oscar Goodman. Okay, Oscar, let's switch topics here real quickly. We had your wonderful wife, Carolyn Goodman.
She is wonderful.
Yes, she is. I have tremendous amount of respect for her and you. You know that. And she came on our show last week, and obviously you know what we spoke about. We spoke about this new homeless ordinance where you can be fined up to $1,000 and possibly up to 6 months in jail if you're in certain areas living on the streets. So you've had issues.
Well, you know, that's not accurate, and you're too smart. You sound like some of these Democratic candidates who came into town and
set me straight.
Yeah, that's a very valid point, Oscar. I agree.
Without ever having read it. I mean, that's typical.
Set me straight. Set me straight.
Well, very simply, it's not a question of, that they're homeless on the streets, that they're being arrested for a misdemeanor, perhaps jailed or fined. That's not it at all. What they're trying to do is they're trying to tell these folks, first of all, if there isn't a place for them to go, then it's a timeout. There's a moratorium. Nothing will take place as far as an arrest or a misdemeanor or anything like that. The given is that there is adequate facilities. There are adequate facilities that these folks can go to. And if they're asked by a member of law enforcement to use that facility rather than to lie on some business's doorstep, perhaps in their own defecation, in their own urination. I've seen it happen down in San Diego. I've seen it happen in Newark.
Oh, no, you're right.
I wasn't able to do anything about it, but my wife is trying to do something
Oscar,
about
we
it.
had an attorney that came in studio, and you're absolutely right. The attorney has a business downtown, and he said these people are defecating and urinating in front of his. Nobody wants that to happen. Listen, I am totally on your side.
I remember I was trying a case down in San Diego, and I was using a local lawyer's office. And every morning I had to battle my way through these they were descriptive little bugs that were flying around because of the unsanitary conditions that were caused the night before in that doorway. And I tell you, maybe San Diego didn't care about it, but we in a tourist hospitality community better be very careful as to what kind of experiences people have when they try to utilize our streets to get from one venue to another, because that's what makes this city a great place to live with the tax dollars that are raised as a result of these visitors coming here. And if you drive them away, even subtly, that's not going to do us any good. So Carolyn reached out, and this is the beginning, the first step really of hopefully a program that, number one, mainly will get these homeless people some help. You know, the thing that disturbed me the most when I was the mayor is that every time you tried to help one of these souls, and they wouldn't come across the street from the Four Master Lane place where they had their little tents up, across the street to Catholic Charities, they just wouldn't walk across the street.
Mental illness.
You told them there was a bed, there was food, there was clothing, there were jobs waiting for them. They had no interest in that at all. And you saw that many of them had emotional or mental problems. If you reached out and tried to help them and touch them, the next thing you know, the toucher, who is ordinarily a law enforcement officer, is sued under a civil rights case. And it's a horrible thing when you can't help people who need the help. So this is really a very good first step, I think, to resolve the problem. It's not going to take place overnight, but even in the first week and it's not even in effect at this point in time, even in the first week when you drive downtown, there's a marked difference, that's for sure.
Do you think that there is enough, or that there's adequate space in jails for these people? If
No, of course not, and that's not the objective here. They're not going to wholesale put people in jails. What I did when one of my first meetings when I was the mayor, and I thought it was a pretty darn good idea.
You're talking about Gene. You're going to talk about Gene, right?
You're right.
I like that idea,
we have
Oscar.
A great facility. The federal administrations have closed down all the mental facilities. Why don't we send these folks out to Gene?
I agree.
Just take down the bars. Then it's a building. It's not
Oscar, I've talked about this, Oscar, for the last 2 weeks. Your idea, and for those of you that don't know, Oscar's, sorry to interrupt you, Oscar, but he's talking about busing some of these homeless people to this place that used to be a jail facility in Jean. It's not a jail anymore. These people could get a bed. They could get possibly mental help. They could get food. And keep them in there and get them the help they need until they're ready to get back into society and get on their own feet.
You know what happened, Brian?
Yeah.
The day after I said it, the headline in the newspaper, this brilliant RJ that we rely upon, the headline in the stupid paper was, Mayor wants to send homeless to prison.
Oh, Jesus. Can I ask you this, Oscar?
The newspaper should try to help us make this a better community.
Oscar, can I ask you about that?
Some effort. Yeah, that's terrible.
Oscar, can I ask you about that? Because we've had our issues with the Review Journal as well, and I know you have, and I'm on your side. I think there are some good people there that I'm friends with.
Some good people everywhere.
But there are some real morons.
Like the president there.
Yeah, you're right. There are some real morons that work at the RJ also. For example, if I go on the radio and I criticize one of their writers, sports writers even for that matter, they'll ban people from coming on our show. They can't be questioned.
Well,
it's absurd.
This way, if one of those people are banned and you need somebody to come on, I'll come on.
I appreciate that, Oscar. Thank you. No, because they've given you a hard time over the years too, and I thought a lot about the articles.
I could care less. You know, it all started. Of course, they were very critical of my clients, and that's fine. The First Amendment's very, very important, and they have a purpose, and it's important to advise the public as to what's happening. But when I ran, it's funny, I ran for mayor. I filed on a Friday, the last Friday you could file. Went down to my driveway on Sunday and picked up the stupid newspaper and opened it up, and the editorial was, in bold black letters, anybody but Oscar for mayor.
Oh, jeez.
Well, you know, not anybody.
You know what it is, Oscar? Because you don't kiss their ass. That's what it is.
No, I don't kiss anybody.
Well, I know, and that's what I appreciate about you. And I think you're fair. But I mean, you know, why should we kiss anybody's ass? If we disagree with somebody, we should be able to talk about it.
And Oscar, how is that title not considered libelous?
Libelous?
Yeah.
Oh, what are you going to do? File a lawsuit against them, and they have unlimited funds to fight it. I'm a great believer. Don't ask for civil lawsuits. It ruins your life. It eats you up alive. You spend a lot of money. It's one thing if you have a problem, you have to go into a criminal court system. Then you have no choice but to do the best you can. But I'm a great believer in looking at today and tomorrow, not at yesterday.
No, I agree. I agree.
You fellas have to be more interested in the libel and the slander aspects of it. But look, that's their opinion. Anybody about Oscar for mayor, the worst. San Francisco
well, I would
Chronicle
certainly disagree with that. I'd also say your steakhouse over there, Beef, Booze, and Broads, is one of the best in town as well. I figured I would throw that in there.
It's really good.
I love it.
The food's great.
It is fantastic. If you're just joining us again, it is former mayor of Las Vegas, Oscar Goodman. Okay, let's talk a little bit about gun control because, as you know, it was a horrible tragedy, the October 1 shooting. It's amazing, Oscar, isn't it, that it was a few years ago, and some people, not all, and I know you don't, but some people forget. And we talk about.
They do forget. As a matter of fact, we just lost one of the attendees, I guess, yesterday.
Oh, no, that's horrible. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's 59.
Oh, that's so horrible. I'm so sorry to hear that. I did not know that. I wanted to ask you.
She had, she probably had a fairly miserable life afterwards. She was.
Oh gosh.
She was paralyzed. As I understand it, living in a home type environment. So, sometimes it's a blessing.
Yeah, I am so sorry to hear that, and there's plenty of families that are still struggling, and plenty of those injured that their lives will never be the same. Let me.
Well, it's something that you never forget.
Absolutely,
you can't forget it.
Of course not. So, Oscar, let me ask you about this. MGM Properties has decided to turn that parking lot where the Route 91 festival happened, into a pay-to-park for the Raiders. Now, my take on this was they should have put together some sort of memorial first. And I'm not even sure that should be a pay-to-park. It's not like MGM Properties are losing money everywhere left and right. I thought it was inappropriate. I thought what they should have done is made it a memorial. We're talking about the biggest mass shooting in American history. And then a few years later, before even talking about a memorial, I know they're going to put some sort of small memorial there, but to do a pay-to-park? I mean, as the former mayor of Las Vegas, how do you feel about that?
Well, sometimes I feel that the public organically resolves problems a lot better than some of the oligarchs who are running our gaming industry. And I think it was remarkable that the little Remembrance Park in the downtown was actually constructed virtually overnight with the blood and sweat of locals who cared about these people being slaughtered by a maniac.
Right.
Defensive. They had no defense, and the public actually built this little park. I think that's sufficient, to be quite frank with you.
Mm-hmm. All right, fair enough.
I don't think it's necessary to build a monument, because they are being remembered in a more meaningful way than some piece of stone that's out in the middle of the strip.
Fair enough. I respect that. Let's talk a little bit about gun control. Since that shooting, the president has gotten rid of bump stocks. I've always been a firm believer that the NRA is in the deep pocket of some. And it's amazing that Democrats and Republicans can't get together and get some things done. We had another school shooting, as you know, Oscar, last week right there in California.
It's like every day.
It's
like
incredible.
Every day there's an incident.
Oscar, why did this not happen when I was in high school, when you were in school, and why is it happening now? And what do we need to do to change it?
Yeah, I'm a lot older than you are, Brian, and I had this young man that I was telling you about, who I had an interview with this morning, and his dad was with him, and I said, there's something different about the youngsters of today from when I grew up. When I grew up, there wasn't television the way we know it today. Moms would cook dinner, everybody would sit around the table, there'd be an intelligent discussion amongst the family members as to what happened that day, and you went and you did your homework and you played your sports, and your parents said they made sure that the rudder wasn't going to go the wrong way, and we grew up with the mindset of not embarrassing our parents.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a lesson that is spoken about. I think it's by osmosis, by example. That's the way the children were raised. And every once in a while there was a bad apple, but basically people, youngsters didn't want to embarrass their parents. They wanted to make their parents proud of whatever the child was accomplishing, without the parent having a whip and saying the kid has to do this, the kid has to do that. Today, I don't find any semblance of that kind of meaningful relations between parents and children that would engender a certain degree of morality on what's right and what's wrong. And I think these kids are just taken with the internet, with the Facebook, with their thumb doing all of their thinking for them, rather than their brain and their heart.
Right.
And they don't turn out the same way. And I think that has an awful lot to do with it. And the kids apparently become very, very unhappy. I was a happy kid.
So was I.
You were too, Brian.
So was I. Let me ask you this, because this also hits home where, you have some characters on Fox News, for example, Tucker Carlson, who says that the idea of white supremacy is a hoax. Meanwhile, Oscar, as I'm sure you know, a few months ago, we had this white supremacist who made a plan to go into synagogues and shoot innocent people of the Jewish faith, and also go into bars, gay bars, and shoot a bunch of people because of their sexuality. Don't you think it hurts society when people like Tucker Carlson make statements like that, and they have such a huge platform?
He's. I know Tucker, and Tucker's making a living, and he knows that that kind of statement sells. We know that there is anti-Semitism out there. We know that there's an intolerance for anybody who does or says or thinks something different than we do. It's remarkable that we have to include a member of the gay community into that situation, but that's the way people feel these days. If somebody says something they don't agree with, then they're committing a sin.
Right.
And I tell those people to drop dead.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I do too. I hope they suffer, and I hope they suffer a very miserable death. If you're just joining us again, it's former mayor of Las Vegas, Oscar Goodman. Okay, Oscar, I got to ask you about this. Let's have a little fun here. Get off the really serious subjects. Have you seen the movie The Irishman? It reminds me a little bit of The Casino.
I have not seen it. I haven't seen it. I've got some phobias. And one of my phobias, and this, I know I'm wrong on this one, because I know the Eclipse Theater is. I've been there, and I've seen how clean it is. It sparkles, and it's a great experience going there. But I don't know. I don't like to go to movie theaters if I know that I'm going to be able to catch something at home. So I haven't been there. Everybody I know who has seen it says it's awesome. They said Scorsese did it again.
You don't have Netflix?
know,
Wait a second. Oscar Goodman does not have Netflix? You can't be serious.
I don't know how to turn on my TV. I need my daughter to come over to turn it on. Come on, stop that.
Fair enough. All right, so go ahead.
I know some fellas who have been talking to Pesci lately, and Pesci, he's riding a crest that he's never even dreamed would be available to him. He is the star of stars at this point in time, and I know he's a great actor, and De Niro is a phenomenal actor, and Pacino is an unbelievable actor. So, and Scorsese is the very best. So it's impossible that it isn't a wonderful, wonderful experience to see it.
I'm sure it is, and you worked.
It's true or not, I don't know. I know when the book came out, people called me and they said, "Have you read this book? It's terrific." I did not read the book. I had run into Hoffa over the years and knew people who knew Hoffa and
That's
the like.
incredible.
I just didn't have any interest in why anybody would want to hurt the guy. But it's probably a great movie, and it's running the 29 days that it qualifies for Oscar consideration at the Academy Awards. And listening to people,
it's fantastic. So a lot of people, I'm sure, realize this. We only got about 2 minutes here, and then we got to go to break. But you were in the movie, of course, Casino. Is there any chance, Oscar, that there will be a Casino 2, even though most of the characters are dead?
I'm not going to say anything to you on that one. I'm not going to jinx it. I got a couple things on the fire right now, and I'm going to know real soon as to what their fate is going to be. I mean, Broadway, Netflix, all that kind of stuff. Even though I don't know how to get it on my TV.
Well, can you promise me if you ever need a cameo from a bald 39-year-old radio Jewish guy, can you please let me know and give me a call, Oscar?
I think I'll call Sunland instead.
Fair enough.
That's a wise decision.
Oscar, I always appreciate it when you take some time to join us. Thank you so much. And I'm going to take you up on that. If ever the Review Journal declines an interview, you will be the first one we call, okay?
Now you're talking.
Oscar, thank you so much for your time, man. We really appreciate it.
Talking to you guys, and have a wonderful 2020.
You as well, and your wife.
A lot, Oscar.
Regards to your wife. Thank you, Oscar.
I sure will, and thank you very, very much.
Appreciate it. There you go. Former mayor of Las Vegas, Oscar Goodman. He's always forthcoming. He's always honest. And I do enjoy his cameo in Casino. I did enjoy it. Joe Pesci wasn't very nice to him in that movie, by the way. One of my favorite movies of all time is Casino. And as you know, many scenes in that movie, most of them were filmed here. And they filmed most of that movie at the old Riviera. All right, we'll take your phone calls on that. Take your reaction to it at 257-5396. Again, that number, 702-257-5396. What do you think about this homeless ordinance and what Oscar said about this new ordinance that was put in place? That and much, much more. We'll take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
Most people think all short-term lenders are the same, and for the most part, they're right. But those people have not discovered how quick, easy, safe, and inexpensive it is to get a signature loan at the DLC. At Dollar Loan Center, you can get a signature loan up to $5,000 in just minutes, and you don't need a checking account or collateral. It's easy to qualify, and you only pay interest for the time you have the loan out. That's different, way different. If you already have a loan at one of those payday companies, we can really help. Give us a call, and we'll show you how much you can save by borrowing from us and paying off your other loans. Spoiler alert, it's a lot of money, sometimes over half. We love to say yes, give credit line increases, and we report your positive history to your credit.
Licensed by the Data Financial Institutions Division. Customer must meet minimum loan qualifications. To review loan qualifications, visit us at don'tbebroke.com. Certain limitations may apply. Loans are subject to approval.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. The world is changing. Isn't it time smoking changed too? Vuse Alto is a vapor product offering you a satisfying alternative to cigarettes. Simple to use, surprisingly quiet, and impressively powerful. Our best vapor yet at our best price ever, 99 cents, plus tax at participating retailers. 99-cent offer applies to Alto device. Pods sold separately. Underage sale prohibited.
Are you taking Cialis or Viagra? Marley Drug has generics of both for just $12 per tablet. That's a savings of $60 per dose. Marley Drug is an independent pharmacy delivering generic Cialis and Viagra to your door for $12 per tablet. Call Marley Drug at 800-870-4787. That's 800-870-4787. Again, 800-870-4787.
Maybe it's time to take a fresh look at everything we thought we knew about landing a great job. For instance, what if phenomenal careers start at the middle school science fair instead of at the job fair? If being the captain of the robotics team means just as much on a college application as being captain of the football team. And if knowing the quadratic formula is every bit as important as knowing the right people. Well, the fact is, the jobs of the future will be heavily geared towards science, technology, engineering, and math. In other words, the future is STEM. More opportunities, better pay. And the road to these great jobs starts as early as middle school. So if you're a student, talk to your school counselor about STEM. If you're a parent, talk to your kids. Because the job you'll get in the future may very well depend on what you do today. A public service message from America's Navy.
Las Vegas's only FM news talk station is right here. The new 1015 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Special report House impeachment inquiry. Ambassador Gordon Sondland says he communicated with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo in an email about the holdup of aid to Ukraine, which he says was linked to an announcement of investigations for President Trump.
Mike, should we block time in Warsaw for a short pull-aside for POTUS to meet Zelensky? I would ask Zelensky to look him in the eye and tell him that once Ukraine's new justice folks are in place mid-September, Zelensky should be able to move forward publicly and with confidence on those issues of importance to POTUS and to the U.S. Hopefully that will break the logjam.
And Secretary Pompeo responds to you 3 minutes later, yes.
Pompeo says he didn't watch. Sondland says the president never directly told him about linkage of Ukraine to the investigation, but says he came to believe there was quid pro quo. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
This report is paid for by Doctor-Patient Unity. Slowing for the crash I-15 northbound north of Spring Mountain, blocking the right lane, slow from Russell. Accident on the Western Beltway 215 southbound Cheyenne, and a crash 215 Southern Beltway eastbound Jones Boulevard. On the surface streets, a crash reported at Town Center northbound at Summerlin Parkway, and the traffic lights are out at D Street at Washington as surprise medical bills bankrupt Americans. Jackie Rosen stands with doctors to remove patients from billing disputes. She demands insurance companies pay their fair share in opposing their rate-setting proposal to cover less medical care. Tell Jackie Rosen thank you and keep fighting. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
From office parties to family get-togethers, if you tend to overdrink, the holidays aren't always the most wonderful time of the year. But quitting completely? Well, that's just not realistic. Sound familiar? Meet LifeBack, a modern science-based approach that allows you to effectively cut back on your alcohol consumption. Using medication that's clinically proven to reduce the urge to overdrink in 92% of people, LifeBack makes drinking a choice rather than a need. Plus, LifeBack is completely private with online doctor consults, medication delivered discreetly to your doorstep, and coaching and support tools through the app. LifeBack comes with a free online doctor consultation and 30-day money-back guarantee, and the program costs less than 1 drink per day. Don't wait for end-of-the-year regrets. Starting the physician-approved LifeBack program now will allow you to drink normally during the holiday season and go into the new year healthier and happier. Visit lifebac.com or call 888-959-8858 today to learn more. That's lifebac.com or call 888-959-8858 today.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions, like online skills tests, which let a candidate show that they're the right hire. And we give you this toy monkey, which will bang its cymbals when the right resume appears. Okay, there is no monkey. I said there is no monkey! But skills tests, that's a for sure.
See why independent research by Silk Road shows Indeed delivers 3 times more hires than any other job site. Visit Indeed.com/promo today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply.
Looking for that perfect new piece of furniture for your home? A New Concept Furniture is the place to start and end your search. They'll beat any price on the internet, and they're here locally, so you can feel what you're buying first. Go to A New Concept Furniture today at 4255 South Grand Canyon to see for yourself the slick, modern, shiny store that mirrors our shiny city. A New Concept. Check out their showroom or call them at 702-570-2240. That's 702-570-2240.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
Went down to my driveway on Sunday and picked up the stupid newspaper, opened it up, and the editorial was, in bold black letters, anybody but Oscar for mayor.
That was the former mayor of Las Vegas, Oscar Goodman, who just joined us, ragging on the Review-Journal. That was kind of funny. Anyway, welcome back to the show, Sharp and Shapiro. It is the Vegas Take. You know, it's funny because I don't usually have very long conversations with people that work in the building, JD, because we just come in here, we do show prep, we do our show, and we leave. By the time it's noon, I'm hungry, I'm tired, my blood sugar is low. Get the hell away from me. I want to go home. I just want to take a nap, right? But
you're also not a very friendly person.
That is completely not true, man. I am much more social than you.
You can make all the excuses you want, but that's the underlying factor.
Are you claiming that you're more friendly than me?
Absolutely.
Really? Then why do I have more friends than you then? That is completely unfair. That's not true. Anyway, we can do this. We can talk about this for 3 hours, but let's not. Anyway, the young man joining, I feel so old saying that because he's like 15 years younger than me. But the guy we have with us in studio right now, he does a great job on the Coyote. The Jeff and Amy show is awesome. You definitely have to check that out, that morning show. I didn't know this about Jeff, but he was actually the mascot, Otto the Orange, for the Syracuse Orangemen. And I wanted to have him in studio because of some really weird stuff happening on campus at Syracuse. But first of all, Jeff, thanks for being here. How are you?
Well, thank you guys so much for having me. For the record, JD said hi to me way before you even introduced yourself.
All right, fine. That's fair.
So I'm not saying, but it's a good start.
I just don't like mascots. I'm not friendly to mascots. That's what it is. All right. I hate to talk about I have so many questions to ask you about what it was like being a mascot, but I think we have to start by talking about some really crazy stuff that's happening on the campus at Syracuse. I'm sure you heard about this as you went there.
Right.
This white supremacist manifesto was sent to Syracuse University students, and this is not the first incident in the last few months. There has been some racist graffiti that has been written all over the university, people that, I guess, a white supremacist, and we don't know if there's one person involved or several people involved, but the FBI is now involved in this, and they're saying they are aware of reports of this incident, and they are investigating, and they are looking to find the person or persons that did this. As somebody who graduated from Syracuse University, and you were such a big part of that university, I mean, if it happened at my university, I wouldn't even know. I would be shocked. Did any of this happen when you were there?
I'll say right now, Syracuse is a very diverse community, which is what made it so much fun to be a college student there, is you have people from all across the country. You have students from all different backgrounds, all different financial backgrounds, all different, religious backgrounds, whatever it might be. And that's what I loved about going to Syracuse. Now, with that comes what I hate about situations like this is there are one or maybe two or three people making it seem like this university has a serious racial profiling problem or problem with racism on the campus. Now, I'll be the first to say that this is so disappointing. And I'm heartbroken to see my campus torn up. There are sit-ins right now at our gymnasium and outside of the chancellor's office waiting for some sort of movement. People are calling, our student association is calling for all classes to be canceled. All activities, student activities, social activities.
Do you think that should happen?
No, I don't think classes should be canceled because now if there was a physical imminent threat to students of color, of students of a certain religion, yes. Don't leave your dormitories, even maybe start Thanksgiving break early, get the students off of campus. And that's the thing people don't realize. Also, Syracuse does a week off for Thanksgiving. So meaning starting Friday, the sit-ins will end because students will be going on break. Now, I believe some students will stay strong through it, but this issue, they're hoping to get something figured out for the campus by this weekend.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though. I mean, Jeff, this stuff didn't happen when I was in high school and college. I don't understand why it's happening now. We just had the former mayor, Oscar Goodman, on, and we talked about white supremacy. And I'm sure you heard this story a few months ago right here in Las Vegas. There was a guy who wanted to go into synagogues and shoot a bunch of innocent people, go into a bunch of gay bars and shoot a bunch of people because that their sexuality might have been different from his. This is not just happening in Syracuse on that university. Sadly, this stuff is happening throughout the country. And then we have this shooting, of course, in El Paso, where a white supremacist goes into a Walmart and executes 22 people. I don't want to single out Syracuse, but certainly we had a situation at UNLV where somebody wrote something in a bathroom going after minorities. I mean, what is going on in our society today where these things seem to be happening on a regular basis? I mean, how would you feel if you're an African-American, a minority, going to Syracuse, you go to class, and then you hear that there's or you see a white supremacist manifesto? I can't even imagine if you're a student what you're going through. I mean, you should be proud to go to school there. I'm not blaming the university, but this is really some tough stuff.
And I look at it, and you brought up UNLV, and anybody listening who has gone to any university or even take it down to your high school alumni association, I don't look at this as, oh, I'm ashamed to be a part of the alumni association. I'm ashamed to be a student there, because there are certain people acting in the minority when it comes to their feelings there. And there are certain people taking actions of their own that they think represent a bigger majority, but just aren't true. And right now, it's a very sensitive community. And there was one woman who reported being called a racial slur on campus. That is just not okay.
That's
of
awful.
course.
No, it's awful.
But amidst all of the other trouble that's going on the campus, that is 100 times worse, and it's already terrible.
Yeah.
So at this point, what they're calling for are officials to do something, to make action, to find a way. So bringing in the FBI, and I believe even Andrew Cuomo spoke about this on the larger level, talking about New York as a whole, and this is not something we accept. And it's true. The campus should not feel this way. Not to mention that, Syracuse University is a private university.
And it's diverse, is it not?
It's extremely diverse. I mean, a large Asian, a large African-American, and a large Jewish population as well, just to name a few. And as a member of that community, despite being a white male, I am very upset. And I take personal offense because a lot of people are saying, well, it's a Syracuse problem. It's a university problem as a whole. No, this is a couple of morons doing something that they believe is true when really hate speech cannot be accepted. And they're bringing in the FBI, as you said, to find out who's causing these issues.
Make no mistake about it. I think you're very irresponsible if you say, oh, those people at Syracuse, they're a bunch of racists. The administration's... No, you're absolutely right. It's probably one or two morons that decided to do something very hateful. And certainly I would never say it represents the university or the students or any of that stuff. I just hope they catch these scumbags that did this.
Absolutely.
If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Jeff from the Jeff and Amy morning show on the Coyote. Who graduated from Syracuse. He was also Otto the Orange mascot. Okay, so I got to ask you a few questions about that. This is unbelievable. Okay, so let me start with this. If you're a mascot, does that give you a better chance to hook up with a cheerleader or get chicks?
That's very funny that you bring that up, because that's usually the first question from when I get a group of guys like you in the studio.
An idiot like me. You can just say that.
No. You're a lot like me in that case, so don't worry.
A very basic, typical moron like Brian.
Yeah, of course.
Well, the big thing with that is it's a campus secret. It is unknown to 99.9. We say it's the rule of three. You can only tell 3 people on campus that you are Otto. And usually it means, you should tell your roommate, because they're going to know and they're going to find out when you come home sweaty from the Duke-Syracuse game.
Right.
I'm just really passionate about the team, guys. They need to know. So you have the rule of 3, and then it's a secret to a point where I started my freshman year. My senior year, we had the big senior night for the basketball players, the cheerleaders, and then that's when we reveal the senior mascots. And so I got revealed, and I go to the bar Chuck's, rest in peace. It's been torn down in the last couple years. And I went up to students, came up to me, friends of mine, and said, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I knew you since freshman year, and I had no idea. And it was always funny. And then they would show me pictures, and they say, Jeff, is this you with me? I said, no, that's Otto. That's Otto.
So what's the weirdest thing that happened to you as Otto, the Syracuse mascot, in the 4 years you were there? Can you give me a story of something really bad or something that people don't, that you can tell us of being a mascot?
Well, the funniest part is I work in radio, obviously, on 102.7 The Coyote. So I talk for a living, yet I couldn't talk at all as the mascot.
That's true.
So kind of humbled me a little bit. But my favorite story is my first ever basketball game as the mascot. It was some exhibition game. I was a freshman. I barely knew the Carrier Dome. And they're like, oh, you need to go to this section, this section. So I'm being watched by the rest of the team. There's about 6 of us on the team at any given time. And yes, we have a mascot coach who's a former mascot. And the whole cheer program, we're a part of that. So I'm over in one section that's particularly known for being a little rowdy, especially during an exhibition game when Syracuse is beating God knows what school by 40 points, and we just started the second half. So they said, Kirkshin, get in there, let's do it. I said, okay. So I go in, and I'm taking a picture with these 2 big Cuse fans, and they go, I hear these guys behind me, they go, do you think Otto's a guy or a girl? And they're obviously extremely intoxicated. And the one guy goes, $20, it's a guy. And he goes, I'll take it. And they're so drunk beyond their minds, it's unbelievable.
They just grab your crotch?
And the guy behind me took a reach at me. And I turned around,
A
And
guy just
how
grabs your nuts?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And thank goodness he goes, it's a guy. How embarrassing would that have been if he goes, I think it's a girl. I'm not sure.
He just grabs your sack.
So,
That's just unbelievable.
but here's the biggest problem. You can't be angry because you're a giant orange with a smile on your face. So I take the $20 and I bring it back to my coach. He said, you can't take somebody's money. So my coach comes back and says, we're going to donate this to the children's.
How about sexual harassment?
I know, right? Or we could have a serious problem. I was just glad it wasn't one of my female teammates because I would have felt even worse. So that was my first ever experience.
That's a funny story and a sad story at the same
I
time.
know.
It's a little more funny because you're a guy. Is that wrong for me saying that? I don't know.
No,
If it was
I
female, that would
totally
be-
understand.
So did you have any like physical requirements you had any testing or anything like that they made you do every single year to maintain your mascot?
It's actually very
status?
funny that you brought that up, and I think you're trying to lend to the fact that I'm 5'6", so you had to be under 5'7" to be the
You're
mascot.
still smaller than our producer.
Right.
That's very small.
No, but you do a lot of like athletic
absolutely.
push-ups and the splits and I mean like a much different activities.
We were a part of the athletics program, so we had to train with like in the same places that the basketball players and the soccer players, football players train, which was really neat. So it kept me in shape. I didn't gain the freshman 15. I gained the post-graduation 15 because I wasn't working out anymore.
Sure.
And so we had to run a under 7-minute mile, and you had to go through a series of core workouts and different cardio exercises and strength exercises. And then by the time I was a senior, the mascot was learning how to do a backflip. So it wasn't a requirement, but it was definitely helpul if you could learn how to do a standing backflip.
Did Jim
the
Boeheim
evolution of Otto. I like
exactly. Did Jim Boeheim ever swear at you or strike you in the face?
You know, it's funny, and because he is, he has an anger streak. He's a coach. I mean, for goodness sake, he actually was one of the biggest fans of our mascot. And a story I've never told anywhere. This is true. My freshman year, the mascot was looking a little ratty, and you probably get a new suit every 4 years or so. They're pretty expensive. And so Jim Boeheim saw Otto run out, and this is pretty much not known to anybody. And he went to the university and said, we need a new suit. Otto doesn't look good. He doesn't look fresh. He's supposed to be an orange, and he looks like he's molding. And so the Jim and Julie Boeheim Foundation put together some money and donated to get Otto a new suit, which was awesome because making anything happen at anything the size of Syracuse, whether it's, a university, a school, or a company, it takes a long time to get that money
I'm glad you brought that
together.
up because I was just mentioning we need a new run and Reb, or what is it, the Reb mascot? I forgot.
I have no idea.
We need a new outfit because
Zero
it seems as though Francois, our athletic director, wears the exact same outfit that the run and Reb outfit is. So you need to switch that up. Anyway,
Might be using it, yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so Jeff, before we let you go, I want you to talk a little bit about your morning show here at Coyote. You guys do a fantastic job. Let's plug that a little bit.
Of course. Well, it's Jeff and Amy in the morning. We play country music here in Las Vegas, and we're your only live and local country station because the other guys, some guy in Nashville talking. And this is what I love about you guys coming to this time slot is because it's live, it's local here on KDON. I love that you guys move to this shift every single day, seeing you around here doing live and local. And we listen. Amy and I listen right across the hall when we're doing our production. We're on from 5 to 10 a.m. on 102.7.
How do you get up at like 3 in the morning?
3:30.
That's brutal.
Yeah, walk the dog, do the whole thing, and it's difficult. But I've been doing morning radio now, I guess, since I graduated.
You take naps?
I do. Naps are necessary.
That is so damn early. Well, listen, you guys do a great job as well.
Thank you
I
so
appreciate
much.
those kind words, and I appreciate your perspective as Otto the Orange Man. And, hopefully this stuff at Syracuse, with all seriousness, gets cleared up and they take these people to jail for this very serious crime. Jeff, thank you so much for coming in, man. Really do appreciate it.
And on the final note, I think it's great that students want to represent themselves and give their constitutional rights to sit in. I think that's great.
Absolutely.
You should be able to protest peacefully. I think that's so important in this country, and I love it.
I couldn't agree with that more. Jeff, thanks so much for your time, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, there you go.
Jeff.
It's Jeff from Jeff and Amy, the morning show at the Coyote. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, there are these meth ads that are being run, and it's the weirdest ad I've ever heard in my life. These people are saying, I take meth. There's something along those lines. It's the weirdest ad you've ever heard in your life. We're going to play it for you coming up next. You're listening to The Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors. Past results do not guarantee future performance.
Most people in today's economy are taking a roller coaster ride with their investments. With Vantage Point software, you can remove that dynamic from your investment strategy once and for all. Vantage Point has spent the last 3 decades perfecting an artificial intelligence process that you can put to use today to take advantage of market fluctuations and make money no matter which way the market moves. Vantage Point software analyzes massive quantities of
of data all around the world in seconds, so you get the information you need to make the right decisions to optimize your profits. VantagePoint is making its exclusive market forecast process available to you for free when you text MONEY to 411-411. That's MONEY to 411-411. We'll send you a link to your free market forecast so you take back control of your financial future. Text MONEY to 411-411.
Go to VantagePointSoftware.com for terms, conditions, and privacy policy.
Does your child love math? Do they just love math so much that once they finish their homework, they want to work on extra math problems just for fun? Anyone? If you answered no, then you are not alone. While your child may not think math is important for their future, we know better. That's because Infinity the Math Institute offers the best math tutors in Las Vegas, produces the best results at the best prices for kids of all ages. Infinity the Math Institute does it all. Does your child need prep for the SATs? Right now, SAT preparation classes in November are just $15. Fractions, algebra, geometry, decimals, you name it. Plus, Infinity offers homeschool programs, free seminars for parents and students. And whether your child is transitioning from elementary school to middle school to high school, or preparing for college, Infinity can help. Classes are filling up. Call us now to find out more. 702-768-1777. That's 768-1777. You want the best results for your child? One call to Infinity can have a huge impact on your child's future. Call now. 768-1777. Tell them the Vegas Take sent you.
SportsX Radio Nation, what's up? It's Ken Thompson, host of SportsX Radio, reminding you to catch me at my new time, 8 to 10 p.m. for all the local Vegas sports coverage, plus the national scene as well. That's SportsX Radio on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
This is Lorraine Hunt Bono, inviting you to tune in for Breaking Bread with Bono. Join my husband, Dennis Bono, as celebrities share with him their intimate and humorous stories. Saturdays, 5 to 6 p.m., right here on KDARN.
And now a message from the traffic cone you ran over on Blue Diamond last week.
Okay, ow, that hurt. I know, you're in a hurry, but I could have been killed. Look, I have a wife and a baby cone on the way. I'm out there risking it all. And for what? I'll tell you, Southern Nevada's economic future. I'm helping the I-11 get built and the Centennial Bowl. So show a cone a little love.
Love the cone. For road construction details, visit seeingorangenv.com or call 702-928-CONE.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDAWN.
You know, if Andrew Sorkin wrote this into the West Wing, they would reject this and say unbelievable.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us. By the way, coming up in hour number 3, quickly, we'll be talking with Kim Frank. She is the Vice President of Marketing for the Vegas Golden Knights. They have this Hockey Fights Cancer event tomorrow before the San Jose Sharks game. It's really incredible. That and all these players doing so many holiday appearances. It's really great. So we'll talk a little Vegas Golden Knights with her coming up in hour number 3. Also, what a horrible story. Dolphins running back cut from the team. You're not going to believe what this guy did. You are not going to believe it, and it's why I believe this player will probably never play in the NFL ever again. We'll get to that coming up in the 11 a.m. hour as well. And got to talk a little bit UNLV basketball. They got a game tonight, so we'll get to that. They're playing at the Thomas & Mack Center. But I want to start with this. So the South Dakota governor is now doubling down on this Meth We're On It campaign. That's right, Meth We're On It. It makes absolutely no sense to me. I see what these guys are trying to do, but I guess before I talk about it, why don't we just play it? This is an ad that is running in South Dakota by the governor in regards to meth. Have a listen to this.
I'm on meth.
I'm on meth. I'm on it too. So am I.
So am I.
I'm on meth.
Meth is not someone else's problem. It's everyone in South Dakota's problem. And we need everyone to get on it.
I'm on it.
I'm on it. I'm on it too.
Okay, first of all, for the record, what the hell? I'm not on meth, just for the record. You might think I'm on meth. I'm not. What the hell are you doing, Governor? What the hell are they doing in South Dakota? I'm on meth? This is your campaign? What if a kid who doesn't understand what you're doing, a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old, hears this and hears all these people saying, I'm on meth, and then in school he starts saying, I'm on meth, I'm on meth. No, I'm on meth. You want to talk about the dumbest campaign ever in the history of drugs. Like, I remember those drugs.
It's just a little too deep, I think.
JD, do you remember those drug commercials back in the day where this is your brain, This is your brain on drugs, where the guy has a bunch of eggs. That resonated with me.
Yeah, me too. It was very good.
It was a good ad, right?
I never got
was
involved
it Dare?
in
It was
drugs.
Dare,
It was
right?
Dare, yeah.
So I saw that ad as a kid. You did, and I said, "Whoa, that's what it does to your brain. It fries your brain." I got it.
I like my brain. I don't want my brain to look like that.
I don't want my brain to look like an embryo either.
That's what I eat. I eat scrambled things. I don't want my brain to look like what I eat.
Exactly. So it resonated with the younger audience, the older audience. It worked, right?
Right.
What the hell is this governor doing?
It's just,
I'm on meth. You got these bozos. I'm on these actors.
What he's saying is that
I'm on it.
the meth is a huge problem, clearly, in his entire state, and it's affecting enough people that it's actually affecting the entire state. Therefore, we're all technically on meth. The problem is it's too deep.
Okay, but you're a smart guy. You understand it.
It's far too deep, especially for a relatively uneducated state like South Dakota.
That's what I was just going to say. So you're a smart guy. You get it. We all get it here in the studio. I'm not sure if our producer gets it. He's like, well, that's cool. I should be on meth. That's what Stein said. That's what he said, actually. By the way, I agree. It'll probably put him in a better mood. Every time he walks, he's in such a horrible mood. It'll put him in a better mood. No, but seriously, though, we're all smart. But, like, imagine if you're a young child. And
I'm on it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm on it. Imagine if you're a young child and you're watching this. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. If I was a young child, maybe I'm not as smart as some people might think I am. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm an idiot. But when I was a kid, and if I saw a video or a campaign ad that said, I'm on meth, I would find that to be very catchy. And then I would want to know what meth is and how do I get my hands on it. That's just me if I was a kid. And I would tell my mom or dad, hey, I'm on meth.
Let's just hope.
And then my mom would punch me in the face, and my dad would call me names, and that's why I call everyone else names, because my parents called me names when I was a kid.
And that's why you'd abuse other people, and you would attack other people.
My parents never abused me.
It'd be a terrible cycle.
Verbally.
Hopefully something doesn't turn into like a Baby Shark type of song with this. I'm on meth. Hopefully, hopefully that doesn't take place.
Seriously.
Because that is catchy.
Picture the governor in his office saying, we need a new campaign. We need something new. We got a big issue in this state when it comes to meth. What do you think we should do? I'm thinking we should do a commercial. Let's get a professional writer to come in, and the writer goes, let's get all these actors to say, I'm on meth. Because, meth is a problem with everybody. And the government, yeah, I'm on board with that. That's fantastic. I mean, what doofus pushed this forward?
Hopefully they didn't pay a bunch of money for an advertising campaign to be put together either, and I guarantee you they did. This probably cost them $250,000.
Well, I'm glad you asked. I have the answer to that. The campaign included both digital and TV ads. It cost the state just under $500,000.
$500,000. Okay,
yes,
yeah.
According to the Sioux Falls Argus Leader.
Sioux Falls, Brian.
Sioux. I like to call it Sioux.
Was that on purpose? Tell me it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
It was.
Okay.
I'm just making fun of the newspaper.
Okay, fair.
We heard one of those videos, but they're also doing these types of things on social media as well. It's all over the place. They're getting hammered for it. And then there's some people that like it. But then there's this one guy. There's a couple people on social media that are pretty much bagging on it. I don't know. I just think it's really ridiculous. But just to give you an example, though, of what in all seriousness, what the meth issue is, National Institute of Drug Abuse estimated that 964,000 people ages 12 and under, which account for about 0.5% of the total U.S. population, reported methamphetamine use disorder in 2017, marking a significant increase from the previous year. I'm not quite sure to limit that and to help the cause is to put out an ad and a slogan campaign that says, I'm on meth.
Well, it depends on what that number is, in related to a state like South Dakota. But it's actually, that's a pretty serious number, Brian. That's actually more like 1/3%. But if almost 1 million people in the United States are on meth, I mean, you've seen what meth does. It is a killer. It changes.
It's not good for your teeth, that's for sure.
It's not good for your teeth. It's not good for your hair, your complexion.
No,
I mean, it's good for nothing.
Be honest with me, though. Be honest with me. Do you think President Donald Trump is on meth?
I do not believe that President Donald Trump is currently on meth.
If there was anybody in the White House that you think could be on meth,
Nancy Pelosi.
Absolutely. No. You're not listening to my question.
But I'm almost certain that Nancy Pelosi is
I noticed
on
how you turned to a Democrat there. I asked you a very specific question. It demands a specific answer. If there is anybody in the White House, not in Washington, in the White House, in Donald Trump's administration, that you think could be on meth, who would it be?
Maybe Corey Lewandowski.
Maybe who?
Corey Lewandowski.
Okay, well, I'm going with Johnny, one of our producers here. He says Kellyanne Conway. I think that absolutely, I think she is absolutely on meth.
I think she's fit. I just think
she's
stays,
fit. She's like 40 pounds. What are you talking about?
I think she stays in good shape.
She looks like a pencil. What are you talking about?
I don't think that
she
she's
wears
on
8
meth.
layers of makeup.
Johnny,
she has horrific hair.
Johnny, do you think that Nancy Pelosi's on meth?
Johnny, go ahead.
Not
Take
Nancy, but definitely Kellyanne.
Definitely. Thank you. I'm on your side. Don't try to get support from him.
Stein.
Don't try to get support from him. It's absolutely. Kellyanne Conway is an alien. Okay, she's an alien. And you know what? If taking meth makes you lie for a living, that certainly would work for Kellyanne Conway. I'm going to go with Kellyanne Conway. Absolutely. I would say number 2 in the. I got some weird feelings. Some really weird feelings about Jared Kushner. He's got some weird stuff in the closet. He's a very skinny guy. He fits the profile. That's all I'm saying. He's just, extremely wealthy Jewish guy who fits the profile of somebody that does drugs. That's all I'm saying. I could be wrong. Rudy Giuliani, are you taking the mic there, Stein? You think Rudy Giuliani takes crack? Yeah, you know what? But he's not really in the administration, though, is he? He's Donald Trump's personal attorney.
Avenatti confirmed that Giuliani is a giant drunk who shows up to every single.
We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Highly intoxicated.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I don't think that Giuliani does crack. I could see Kushner I could see Kushner liking cocaine quite a bit, along with Chris Berman.
That's possible. Anyway, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, and by the way, speaking of Avenatti, he'll be in studio tomorrow, along with our guest John Kasich and the Mooch, Anthony Scaramucci. Coming up next. You are not going to believe what one Dolphins running back did and why he was cut from the team. It involves a pregnant woman. We'll talk about that coming up next. You are listening to The Vegas Take.
Kilmeade, Hannity, Levin, 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN, Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Special report, House impeachment inquiry. EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland has testified he believes there was a linkage between U.S. aid to Ukraine and Ukraine announcing investigations on behalf of President Trump.
You do acknowledge you spoke to President Trump as you indicated in that text, right?
If I said I did, I did.
And that after that conversation, you were still under the impression that the aid was contingent on these public announcements.
I did not get that from President Trump, but I was under the impression that absolutely it was contingent.
He was asked whether everyone came to understand that the White House wanted investigation in recent days, that his association with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein has become a, quote, major distraction to the royal family's work. Former Goldman Sachs CEO Lloyd Blankfein is again blasting Democratic presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren for what he calls a war on billionaires. In an interview with CNBC, Blankfein denounces candidates like Warren for moving toward, as he put it, a kind of demagoguery.
I used to be kind of a moderate Democrat. Now without having moved anything, I've become like in their eyes, kind of a right winger. Because I don't want to blow up the financial system.
Stocks have been falling amid reports there is considerable doubt the U.S. and China will be able to reach a Phase 1 mini trade deal before the end of the year. The Dow down 198. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. An accident causing more slowing, 15 northbound near Flamingo, vehicles off right, and 15 northbound just north of Spring Mountain again, vehicles off to the right and blocking the right lane. A crash on the 95 northbound at Craig at the off-ramp. And an accident on the 95 southbound at Rancho at the on-ramp. Watch for vehicles on the surface streets. A crash with injury sustained reported eastern at Sunset. Are you hiring? With Indeed, you can post a job in minutes, set up screener questions, then zero in on qualified candidates in an online dashboard. Get started at Indeed.com/hire. John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
For more than a year, the whole of Vermont was captivated by the hunt for a runaway golden retriever. Read Catching Murphy, the latest book from the Associated Press. Available now exclusively at Amazon.com.
Listen to the Texas Corners Bible Church every Saturday night at 11 p.m. and Sunday night at 10 p.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
So, Chuck, there are so many loan companies out there. How do you pick the right one?
That's easy. What we tell everyone to do is call around first, then come to Dollar Loan Center.
Try this. Call any short-term or payday lender. Tell them you want to borrow $500 for 1 week and ask them the total amount you will owe after that week. It's a real simple, straightforward question, and then you can do the math from there.
Well, how much does that cost at Dollar Loan Center?
$19.25. Really, less than $20 in interest to borrow $500 for a week. It's only $2.75 a day with no other fees to borrow $500 at the DLC.
Wow, I'm speechless. And there's no way any of our competitors cost less. That was Chuck, founder of DLC, where you can get up to $5,000 in minutes at over 50 locations. You can also apply over the phone or online at don'tbebroke.com.
Licensed by the Nevada Financial Institutions Division. Annual percentage rate of 199.99%. For additional cost information, call 866-550-4352. Certain limitations may apply. Loans are subject to approval.
Hi, Doug Basham here. Join me Saturday afternoons from 2 to 4, and I'll tell you what your conservative, corporate-controlled, right-wing propaganda hate media isn't. You're welcome. That's Saturday afternoons, 2 to 4. Be there.
A Home for Spot is a nonprofit group of dog lovers whose mission is to rescue, provide sanctuary, and ultimately to rehome abandoned, stray, and neglected dogs. To donate, foster, or adopt, go online to ahome4spot.com.
This is Harry Jacobs from Credit Restoration of Nevada, inviting you to join me for the Credit Show, Saturday mornings between 9 and 10, here on the new 101.5 FM and 720 AM. KDON.
101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDON, the talk of Las Vegas.
Ranking member, it's Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, please. Lieutenant Colonel Vindman.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is hour number 3 of the Vegas Take. Glad you could join us, Sharp and Shapiro. Coming at you on a Wednesday. By the way, I do want to promote some of these wonderful guests we have tomorrow. Attorney Michael Avenatti will be joining us in studio. We are going to get on the line tomorrow, the Mooch himself. Anthony Scaramucci is going to be joining us tomorrow. Former presidential candidate and former governor John Kasich will also join us tomorrow.
Apparently, if Trump gets impeached and removed from office, John Kasich will be one of the main frontrunners in 2020 for the Republican Party for the president.
Where'd you hear that?
Who said that?
Is that just your opinion?
You know who said that?
No.
Michael Avenatti said that.
Oh.
I'll tell you,
Okay.
John Kasich, I respect a great deal. I always have respected him. He used to work at Fox News. I think people forget about that. He used to be an anchor on Fox. It's crazy, right? But I thought he did a pretty good job. The one thing I've always, and I talked about this earlier, there's two types of Republicans, right? There are the types of Republicans that are fair and can be honest and have a backbone. Doesn't mean I'm going to always agree with them. John Kasich, make no mistake about it, he's one of those guys. He's called out the president's irresponsible behavior, but at the same time, he's a Republican, but I don't agree with all of his policies, but I think he's a very, very solid guy. He's a good man.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Stein, but you posted a picture on Twitter yesterday of all of our guests, and it looks to me like Scaramucci and Kasich are related. they look the exact same.
I'll tell you one question quickly. I'll tell you one question I'm going to ask the Mooch tomorrow that I've been dying to ask him. Mooch, you've been a friend of Donald Trump for decades. You've known this guy forever. Why did you wait this long to finally speak out against his behavior? Why did it take you this long to do it publicly? I believe you've been speaking negatively about him privately for a long time. Why did it take you this long to be public? So we will ask him that and much more. Michael Avenatti in studio tomorrow along with John Kasich. So that'll be a fun show. So I'll tell you, this is a story that came out that's not fun. And it's involving another NFL player and domestic violence. This is disgusting. We're talking about former Miami Dolphin player Mark Walton. So he's expected to be released from Broward County Jail today. His bond's set at $10,000. This is unbelievable. It's unreal. Apparently, allegedly, what they're saying is that he punched his pregnant girlfriend. Does it get any worse than that when it comes to domestic violence? You should never, ever put your hands on a woman. She is pregnant, and he punches her in the face. Now, this is a very troubling story if we just ended it right there. If we just ended it right there, I would say this guy, this piece of garbage, should never be allowed to play in the NFL ever again. He's worse than Floyd Mayweather. This guy is the worst, okay? But here's where it gets really strange. And this is where the Miami Dolphins are going to have to start answering some questions, right? Despite the off-field issues, the Dolphins still signed Walton shortly after a tryout in May and saw him turn into a capable starting NFL back. Okay? He was elevated to Miami's starting running back job in week 6. Remember, these things were going on before, and they could have done something about it, and they didn't. Walton had his sentence of 6 months probation on August 19th reduced to 3 weeks for his incidents that occurred in January, February, and March. He has a history. He was facing a felony charge for carrying a concealed weapon he owned and misdemeanor charges for marijuana possession, reckless driving, resisting a police officer on March 12th in Miami. He was also charged with misdemeanor battery for a fight that involved him taking a phone from a neighbor at his condo. This is a guy that is absolutely nuts. He's out of his tree, but the Dolphins said, you know what? Who cares? Let's sign him anyway. And now he punches his pregnant girlfriend. He's probably going to go to jail.
Well, it's crazy to me. How can the Dolphins sign Mark Walton, but considering how poor their quarterback's play has been for the last 5 years, not even take a look at Colin Kaepernick?
It's horrible.
That is odd to me.
Well, I don't want to get into I don't want to go in the weeds.
I just think that's very odd to me. Why sign a guy like this who clearly has almost as much in baggage as Antonio Brown, but despite the fact that your QB play has been horrendous for the last decade,
last I checked,
you can't even take a shot at Colin Kaepernick.
Last I checked, Mark Walton, one thing he didn't do is he wasn't wearing a Kunta Kinte shirt. He wasn't doing that.
Well, I think the heart of the issue here is how many chances should one get, right? And when you have somebody like this, as you laid out his background, we're not talking about one little incident. Okay, he was drunk driving one time, or he took a phone from somebody, or whatever. You know, we're talking about a rap sheet, right? I mean, a rap sheet where it was very predictable, in my opinion, that something like this could happen. And the Dolphins took a chance on him anyway. And so you have to wonder, how important is it to win? And what you put that above this guy's criminal record and what he could do.
Apparently, it's not important for the Miami Dolphins.
Well, I mean, and the other thing I wonder is, how long would the NFL and the Miami Dolphins have sat on this if they could have kept it quiet? I mean, I immediately think of Ray Rice, who beat the crap out of his fiance in an elevator, and the NFL didn't say a word about it until the video came out.
Kareem Hunt, same thing.
Right,
Kareem Hunt kicks that woman that he was partying with. And
listen, I'm going to sadly say this:
video evidence changes perspective at the end, but it's in the NFL's best interest to keep this stuff under the table, at least for their bottom line. Sadly, morality, obviously, it's the morally incorrect thing to do. But the situation with Walton is interesting because he went to the University of Miami. Mm-hmm. So a lot of Mark Walton fans would presumably be Miami Dolphins fans. So I think they looked at that as well when they took a shot on him.
Sadly, I would say this about the NFL, and I would say this about many of these, not all of them, but many of these team owners, partial owners, you name it. If they had it their way, they would sweep this stuff under the rug because many of them, not all of them again, but many of them, all they care about is their bottom line and winning football games. They don't care about the spouses of the players. I think many of these people, even though they're going to tell you that they care about domestic violence and they take it very seriously, I'll tell you what they take more seriously: how much money they make, wins and losses. And this stuff needs to stop. We need to set an example. And if teams like the Miami Dolphins, if this is true, put some of this stuff underneath the rug and waited on it, they need to be punished for that.
I always thought, Jason, you know a lot about football. I mean, I always thought that it's real easy to cut somebody who's not a superstar, right? Like, now I don't know about this guy. He had a pretty decent season so far. But I mean, it's easier to cut someone who's not great,
he's
right?
Had a couple of okay games.
Right. I mean, you get someone who's a superstar, it's harder to.
He's probably a third-rate running back. He's probably a top. Let's say there's 150 running backs. No, let's say there's 100 running backs. He's probably number 73.
And the team stinks anyway, right?
The
so it's not like it's going to matter one way or the other.
Horrendously bad.
Right.
And one of the stories that I remember growing up, I was really young when this happened. I'm sure you remember Ray Caruth. Look, luckily, thank God, this guy didn't kill his girlfriend. But I remember the Ray Caruth story where killed his girlfriend, shoved her in a trunk, killed her, murdered her. Went to jail, I think, for 25, 30 years. I don't know if he's out. But it's bad. This is bad.
I think he's almost out. First-round draft pick out of Colorado. Played for the Panthers. Had a very, very athletic guy. That was very surprising.
And
I mean, he was a highly ranked guy. Mark Walton's not a highly ranked guy.
Well, whether they're highly ranked or not.
Well, I mean, it matters, though. Contractually wise, I mean, the expectation from the team, all that stuff matters. But Mark Walton wasn't. He was a need position, kind of. But I really don't understand how you can give a guy like Mark Walton a shot, but you can't give Colin Kaepernick a shot. I mean, I don't think Kaepernick is even I don't think he's a capable starting quarterback, but I think he could probably play a little.
One guy's got a criminal record. One guy's just controversial.
One guy's extremely controversial.
Right. But he didn't do anything.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
He is not a criminal.
I will tell you why. There's an easy answer to that because a lot of owners think that Colin Kaepernick is, quite frankly, sadly, a bigger risk They might lose ticket sales. They might lose money. This is about money. Make no mistake about it. Yes, it's about making your football team better because that you would think that would equal money. But Colin Kaepernick is not a starting quarterback. So a lot of these owners are saying, and we're getting into Kaepernick. I really don't want to do that. But a lot of these owners are saying it's not worth the risk.
Or we could talk about the Raiders. The Raiders took a risk on Richie Incognito. Remember him? He took his father's head and brought like a samurai sword into
the average.
I mean, there a lot. He did a lot of very crazy things off the field. I think that at this point, Roger Goodell and the owners they need to make a conscious decision and create a huge fine for any team that does something like this moving forward.
But the average sports fan does not know the Richie Cognito story. The average sports fan knows why Colin Kaepernick is not playing in the NFL. That is a big distinction and a big difference. Obviously, Incognito, in my opinion, is a more valuable player on the field right now than Colin Kaepernick would be. Colin Kaepernick would not be starting. Make no mistake about it. Richie Incognito is a starting player in the NFL. Okay, we got to take a break.
Kaepernick might be starting for the 2-11 Dolphins. He might be.
Perhaps, at best. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, this is a bizarre one. I guess we're making some comparisons here. Now, we remember the story about longtime NHL commentator Don Cherry, his controversial statements. He was forced to resign. Well, now there's a longtime announcer of wrestling that is being forced to resign over his racist comments. We're going to kind of compare and contrast. We're going to play you the audio of both. What do you think is worse here? We'll take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
Hi, Doug Basham here. Join me Saturday afternoons from 2 to 4, and I'll tell you what your conservative, corporate-controlled, right-wing propaganda hate media isn't. You're welcome. That's Saturday afternoons, 2 to 4. Be there.
Hi, this is Harvey Blankfeld, host of Las Vegas Real Estate Now. We are saying farewell to Tuesdays at 9 a.m. and moving to Saturdays at 11 a.m. Please do tune in every Saturday at 11 a.m. and learn about real estate right here on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDAWN, the talk of Las Vegas.
November is the single biggest month of the year for mattress sales, hands down. Why? I don't know about other places, but I know why that's true here. Hi, I'm Dave Mizrahi, owner of Best Mattress, and it's probably because our huge Black Friday sale, our biggest sale of the year, where right now you can save up to $600 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable mattress sets. Get a $300 gift with purchase, 72 months no interest financing, and free delivery. Best Mattress. Sleep easy, friends. See store for details.
Parents, you always say you want what's best for your children. If that's the case, then you should be bringing your kid to Infinity, the Math Institute, where every student earns an A or B in math. Our results are proven and they are amazing. The best tutoring service for the best price, whether online or in person, small group or one-on-one. You cannot get better results. Great grades will come when your child truly understands the math. From elementary math to calculus, we have the best tutors, the best materials, and the best results. Now offering free parent seminars on how to better help your child, what is Common Core, and more. Find out why parents are bragging and students are enjoying school again by calling 702-768-1777. That's 702-768-1777, or visit themathinstitute.com today. Tell them the Vegas Take sent you, because at Infinity, you don't get more math problems, you get solutions.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager, learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Sean Hannity, weekdays noon to 3 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDAWN.
I'm on meth.
I'm on meth. I'm on it too. So am I.
So am I. I'm on meth.
I'm on it.
Everyone on this show is on meth. Welcome back to the program. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro rolling out you hour number 3 on a Wednesday. Coming up here in just a few minutes, we will be joined by the Vice President of Marketing for the Vegas Golden Knights. That would be Kim Frank. Going to talk about some really cool events going on starting tomorrow with the Hockey Fights Cancer event. They do a great job raising money for the cause. Also, some appearances by some Vegas Golden Knights players and coaches at some of these holiday events. It's really, really fantastic. So we are going to be talking with Kim coming up here in just a few minutes. Oh, yeah, I did hear some news, too. Marc-Andre Fleury, he's kind of good. Made a the save of a lifetime yesterday. It was unbelievable. If you didn't get a chance to see it, we'll talk about it coming up in just a few minutes. But we talked a little bit last week about this longtime NHL commentator. He's like a 40 or 50-year broadcasting career. His name is Don Cherry. And he made some controversial comments. We'll get to that in a second. We've talked about that ad nauseum. But now we have another commentator. He is a wrestling commentator for the NWA, which I've never watched in my life. But I guess it's some people are into wrestling. I'm just not one of those guys. I'm not into it. I was into it when I was 8 years old. I'm 39 now. I'm just not into wrestling. I'm not into guys wearing tights with their shirts off and dangling with each other. Just not into that sort of
Since when?
Since when? Very funny.
Yeah, I'm shocked by that too. Are you afraid that if you watch that, you will become into that type of thing?
Listen, you're the type of person when we had
I'm kind of getting that vibe.
You're the type of person we had the JD. With all due respect, we had the Chippendales in here, and you dodged them. You were scared to come in here.
Oh.
Okay, so don't talk to me about homophobia.
I believe I was actually in a different state.
A state of what? A state of scaredness?
I think I was.
What type of state were you in?
I was traveling.
A state of, oh my God, I might get turned on by half-naked guys in the studio?
To Nebraska.
You were in that state.
Wasn't that the second incident where he took off when there were hot men in the studio?
Yes, he does that when we have
what was the first one?
I don't know. The musical group that was in here last week.
Oh, right. Those good-looking guys, Human Nature.
You got these strapping, nice, good-looking young men, and I find it very interesting that you decide not to show up when we have good-looking men in studio. Why is that, JD? Can you please respond to that?
Interesting.
I had a.
You started this, by the way.
Yeah, no, I had an eye doctor appointment last Friday.
Okay.
So how convenient. Okay.
I say 3 times makes a pattern.
Yeah, it's very convenient.
Twice coincidence, but 3 times. If you do
notice.
The next time we have an attractive man in studio, you're not here. That's a pattern, and that's.
I do find it interesting.
That's some kind of phobia we need
that I'm not afraid to watch wrestling because I think
I do find it interesting though. You were
is.
in studio yesterday when we had 2 female porn stars. You did make the time to show up in studio yesterday, but when the Chippendales are here. How convenient. You're in a different state.
I have solid alibis for both. The first one I was in Nebraska, and the second one I was at the eye doctor.
All right,
solid alibis.
All right, fine.
They weren't just
We're not saying
shows.
you weren't there. We're just saying it's.
No,
listen.
Your
scheduling is very intriguing.
Me of a no-show.
Listen, next time when we have Ricky Martin in studio, we'll see if you show up. That's all I'm going to say. All right.
Let's get back to this thing.
Let's get back to this thing.
So this NWA wrestler, wrestling announcer.
Yes, this wrestling announcer, NWA broadcaster made some very controversial comments, and he was forced to resign. I want to play this audio for you, and then we're going to play the Don Cherry audio. And I want to know what you think is worse. Let's start with this is Jim Cornette, longtime announcer for the NWA, forced to resign because of this comment.
This as seriously as he might should. Trevor Murdoch, he's mad, bad, and dangerous to know. He's the only man I've ever known that can strap a bucket of fried chicken on his back and ride a motor scooter across Ethiopia. Trevor Murdoch can take care of himself.
No, I find that to be kind of funny. I find that. Play that again. Can you please play that one more time? That was very funny. Go ahead.
As seriously as he might should. Trevor Murdoch, he's mad, bad, and dangerous to know. He's the only man I've ever known that can strap a bucket of fried chicken on his back and ride a motor scooter across Ethiopia. Trevor Murdoch can take care of himself.
Trevor Murdoch can take care of himself. He can take care of himself.
What a racist statement.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that is racist. Okay, so now I want to play you Don Cherry's controversial comment. And tell me what you think of that. Go ahead, Johnny.
You people love, they come here, whatever it is, you love our way of life, you love our milk and honey. At least you could pay a couple of bucks for poppies or something like that.
Okay, so Don Cherry forced to resign. Jim Cornette forced to resign. My question to the listeners out there, what do you think is worse? Do you think they both deserve to resign? Or, I don't know. You tell me.
Well, the Don Cherry, sorry, you want to go with the number, but the Don Cherry thing you remember was it was the equivalent of Veterans Day in Canada.
Right.
And he was lamenting the fact that there were people new to the city of Toronto that aren't wearing the poppy. They normally honor the World War II veterans with a poppy. And he just basically said, hey, you come here and enjoy our country, but you don't wear the poppy. That irked him. Okay. He was forced to resign, fired, whatever you want to call it. And that's just the background on that.
So let me give out the number. What do you guys think out there? What do you think about this guy, Jim Cornette, with the fried chicken comment, the Ethiopia, and then Don Cherry? We'll open up the phone lines. The number is 257-5396. Again, if you'd like to call up, what do you think about these comments? Do you think they both deserve to resign? Do you think one is worse or better than the other? 702-257. Okay, let me give out that number again. 702-257-5396. That is the number to call. What do you make of these comments? Why don't we start off with Jay? Jay, you are first up here. What do you make of this?
What's up, Jay?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Yeah, I think this is all both overblown. I mean, I didn't hear anything racist come out in either of those comments. I think people are so overhyped to try and find racism wherever it exists because they don't really come in contact with it in their daily lives. And this is just more evidence of how sensitive we are in this new generation.
All right.
When most people are living great.
All right, but let me ask you this. When Don Cherry says you people, you don't think that is racist at all? When somebody talks about fried chicken going through Ethiopia, you don't think that has any racial connotations at all?
Not one bit. You people is this, because blacks identify themselves as a people and as a culture within America.
But Don Cherry was referring to immigrants, though. He clearly was referring to immigrants. That you don't find that to be racist at all?
To talk about, refer to immigrants as you people?
You people like our milk and honey. If an African American went up to you and he said, I hate you kind of people, you wouldn't find that to be racist?
No, that's not racist. Racist is thinking that your race is superior to another, not liking another race.
Not necessarily. That's a part, Jay.
Or it's not liking someone solely because of the color.
Yeah, it's not just that, Jay. It's right, exactly. It's you can look at someone, a group of people, right? You look at a group of people, and you could single them as a specific group of people and make a generalization about them. That's exactly what Jim Cornette did. And that's, in my personal opinion, that's exactly what Don Cherry did.
No, I don't think Don Cherry's was even remotely near what Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette was significantly worse than what Don Cherry did. Don Cherry, again, he's an 85-year-old guy. He's old.
His
school.
age has nothing to do with it.
Oh, to me it does. To you it doesn't. That's
so
fine.
You give him a pass, because he's 85 years old.
We talked about this last week. For saying you people, I have no problem with what he said. All he's saying is there's immigrants that are coming to the country, and he should have said immigrants, but he didn't. He was probably asked. But the immigrants are coming to the country. They're not respecting the Canadian way of life, and they should. Now, Jim Cornette said, I will get this guy could take a motorcycle with fried chicken on it and drive across the country of Ethiopia and not get messed with. A starving country of Ethiopia with fried chicken, which apparently Ethiopians would like to have. That, to me, was much, much worse than what Don Cherry did.
But you don't think Don Cherry, what he said was racist at all?
I don't think
you like our milk and honey. He's going after immigrants.
He's going after anyone who is not following the Canadian way of life as he believes that they should.
He was singling out. You're wrong because he even admitted that. You're wrong.
You're wrong, Brian.
He admitted that. He said it on TV.
And Negrano talked about the lapel and how it's not a big deal. But again,
he admitted on CNN he made a mistake and he shouldn't have singled them out. He admitted it. What do you mean I'm wrong?
I don't think he's. I think that I don't have an issue with it. But Toronto is a very, very multicultural place, as Negrano came on our show and stated. We're talking about like Mississauga, like very, very small parts of Canada where that's where he's from. And he's saying that if you're coming to Canada, you should respect our traditions, and you're not doing so, despite the fact that you're using and you're enjoying our resources.
That's not the way you worded it.
I think what Cornette said was 10 times worse than what Don Cherry said. What do you think, Stein?
JD's pulling a Donald Trump, though. He's taking a statement, then he's pulling back on it, saying, well, this is what he meant to say. You can't do that. That's what he said.
I knew that Canada was known for its maple. I didn't know it was known for its milk and honey.
Right.
And so that was the thing that stuck in my mind is you come here and enjoy our milk and honey. I found that to be, I don't know what that means. But, the other thing that with this Don Cherry is that he had a history of making off-color remarks.
Controversial.
Yeah, so like we've talked about this before.
No, you did talk about it.
It's not this in and of itself, but this taken together with all the other things he said about women and minorities, that was just the final straw. And, the guy's old anyway, so he had to retire.
See, I'm not.
Again, he's old.
I don't use
school.
that excuse.
But do you think what Cornette said was worse? Because I personally do.
No, I don't. I actually think the wrestling guys is worse. Yeah, I do.
You do?
Yeah.
I would say
And why is that?
probably.
I think you can make that argument that with Don Cherry, this is an older man who's just upset with what's happened to his country,
He's
and
sticking up for his
he's
country.
legitimately just dismayed by what he's seen. Whereas the other
Right.
guy, to create that scenario of fried chicken, motorcycles, and all, it's
a really
that
aggressive
level of
thought out.
creativity.
Sadly, the
comes
people-
from a very racist mind.
Sadly,
And I'm sure the wrestling fans
That's
enjoyed
what
it
I was
too.
just going to
Yeah,
say.
right?
Sadly,
there
I
are
think
people who didn't think anything of it and probably laughed.
Yeah.
No, we're laughing at it because it's absurd.
Get on a motorcycle, strap a bag of fried chicken to your back.
Listen, I would try to steal that chicken.
and drive
I
across
like fried chicken.
and drive across a country in Africa.
I would try to
where
steal
the
that
people would
chicken.
presumably like fried chicken because they're black.
Listen, give me a little bit of honey mustard, and I will
starving.
I will
mean,
snag it
to
from
me.
them.
To me, that is significantly worse than what Don Cherry did.
It's worse, but I don't feel bad for either of them. I don't feel bad for Cherry.
Well, Don Cherry's 85 years old. He's had a 50-year
I
career.
don't-
He's been in the game for a long, long
I
time.
don't care how
he,
old
he
he
was
is.
going to be out in a couple of years regardless, and he does wear great suits.
Wait, what do you mean out? You mean dead, or do you mean retired?
I'm saying something out.
One or the other.
I don't know what the exit strategy would be, retirement or death, but definitely out.
All right, fine. Fair enough. I don't feel bad for either of them. I think they should just go away and leave broadcasting for good for maybe different reasons. But anyway, we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, this is going to be really fun. We're going to be talking to Kim Frank. She is the vice president of marketing for the Vegas Golden Knights. And if you're a Knights fan, of course, we'll talk a little bit about the game last night and how great Marc-Andre Fleury was. But they've got a hockey fights cancer night tomorrow. Plenty of great stuff coming up for the Vegas Golden Knights. Take a quick break. We'll talk to Kim when we get back. You're listening to the Vegas Take.
Special report House impeachment inquiry. Ambassador Gordon Sondland has testified that there was widespread knowledge that the U.S. was pressing Ukraine to announce investigations President Trump wanted in return for a release on defense aid to Ukraine.
That included communications with Secretary of State Pompeo, his counselor, Ulrich Brechtbull, his executive secretary, Lisa Kenna, and also communications with Ambassador Bolton, Dr. Hill, Mr. Morrison, and their staff at the NSC. They knew what we were doing and why.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was asked about it.
I didn't see the testimony. I'm not going to recuse myself from this. I know precisely what American policy was with respect to Ukraine. I was working on it, and I'm incredibly proud of what we've accomplished.
Chairman Schiff says testimony from Sondland goes right to the heart of the issue of bribery and crimes and misdemeanors by the president. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
This report paid for by Doctor-Patient Unity. Watch for slowing on I-15 northbound for a crash near Flamingo. Then just up the road, 15 northbound north of Spring Mountain, another crash. This is blocking the right lane. And an accident on the 215 Western Beltway southbound at Flamingo, as well as an accident on the 95 southbound at the Spaghetti Bowl. On the surface streets, an accident with injuries reported Lake Mead Boulevard at Simmons. Watch for police and fire staged at the scene. As surprise medical bills bankrupt Americans, Jackie Rosen demands insurance companies pay their fair share in opposing their rate-setting proposal to cover less of your medical care. Tell Jackie Rosen thank you and keep fighting. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, taking Nevadans to Capitol Hill for the latest on the federal issues that matter most to you.
Eye on Washington, Saturday morning at 9:30 on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Are you taking Cialis or Viagra? Marley Drug has generics of both for just $12 per tablet. That's a savings of $60 per dose. Marley Drug is an independent pharmacy delivering generic Cialis and Viagra to your door for $12 per tablet. Call Marley Drug at 800-870-4787. That's 800-870-4787. Again, 800-870-4787.
Hi, this is Harvey Blankfeld, host of Las Vegas Real Estate Now. We are saying farewell to Tuesdays at 9 a.m. and moving to Saturdays at 11 a.m. Please do tune in every Saturday at 11 a.m. and learn about real estate right here on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON, the talk of Las Vegas.
It's time for some straight talk. You've got real work to do, but everyone's sucking up the free Wi-Fi faster than a Mocha Choco double frap on ice. So be your own hotspot. Now with Straight Talk Wireless, get 10 gigs of hotspot data with the ultimate unlimited plan. Just $55 a month on America's best 4G LTE networks. You don't have to find a hotspot. You are the hotspot. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart.
Compatible device and SIM required. Excludes the 2-line plan. See straighttalk.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, Protect My Car is announcing a low-cost extended service plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay nothing for auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay nothing for auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-715-5137 now. Drivers who are covered by Protect My Car will not have to pay for a covered repair bill again. This auto coverage is at an all-time low, much lower than what dealerships are charging. Additionally, drivers who activate this auto coverage today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and free car rental at no additional cost. Call Protect My Car for your free quick quote today. 800-715-5137. 800-715-5137. What do you have to lose? Again, 800-715-5137.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
At least you could pay a couple of bucks for poppies or something like that.
All right, welcome back. And it's the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us on a Wednesday. I don't know if you heard recently, but Marc-Andre Fleury, he's actually pretty good. He had the save of a lifetime yesterday. It was just unbelievable at T-Mobile. The Knights get the win. I'll tell you, the Knights do a lot more than just win a lot of hockey games. They do some great things for the community. We all know how we all came together as a community with the Knights on October 1. And joining us right now on the line is the Vice President of Marketing for the VGK. That would be Kim Frank. Kim, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Great. How are you guys doing?
Doing
great,
fantastic. Kim. So before we get to the Hockey Fights Cancer event tomorrow and a lot of other things I want to get to, last I heard, Marc-Andre Fleury's pretty good, huh? I mean, that save, Kim, that I saw last night, and I've been following hockey since I was very young. That was one of the best saves I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that one. He's pretty all right.
Yeah, it was a great environment yesterday and a great win for the Knights. So I want to start by talking a little bit about this. Let's start by talking about the Hockey Fights Cancer event tomorrow. It's going to be a great game tomorrow at T-Mobile, of course, because the San Jose Sharks are in town. And when the Sharks are in town, what a fantastic rivalry it is. Can you talk to me a little bit about this Hockey Fights Cancer event tomorrow night, what you guys are doing?
Yep. So the NHL has a month-long initiative of Hockey Fights Cancer, and our designated night is tomorrow night against the Sharks. And during warm-ups, we'll be wearing our Hockey Fights Cancer jerseys, which will then be auctioned off online and on the concourse. And those will be going to early detection on behalf of Shea Theodore. As everyone knows, or most people may know, that Shea fought testicular cancer this summer successfully. And so we're going to back him on this, and the jersey will be worn, and then we'll be donating the proceeds back to Nevada to early detection and to those that need screening.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. So is this the first year you guys are doing this?
No, we've done this every year.
Oh,
a lot of times we focus on pediatric cancer. We will have also some kids from Candlelighters there tomorrow, and we'll be doing a check presentation to pediatric cancer as well. But this year it's a little bit more meaningful for the team, and, obviously it strikes a little bit more personal with us with Shea. So we're really, we're getting behind him, obviously, but for everyone out there fighting cancer.
That's fantastic. So you'll see in the warm-up. So obviously we would want some fans to get there early so they could all see this and be a part of it. That's fantastic. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about this Valiant documentary. What it is, if you haven't heard of it, is it's in regards to the October 1 shooting and how the hockey team, you guys as an organization, did such a great job in honoring the victims and bringing people together. My understanding is you guys just had a screening at T-Mobile. Talk a little bit about that, and if for people that were unable to be there for it, how can they watch this thing?
Yes, so we showed the first, worldwide premiere of it this past weekend. It really highlights everything from our first season, and obviously with 1 October. And you may have talked about Fleury being awesome on the ice. He and every one of our guys are amazing off the ice. They just jump right into the community as the community's embraced us. And then you can watch it if you haven't seen it. You can watch it on Amazon.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so anybody can watch it on Amazon. Okay, that's fantastic. How long have you been with the franchise? Have you been with them since year one, Kim?
I have. I came September 2016, so we had no team, no logo. But then we're here, and so 3 years and some change I've been here, seeing everything, and watching this community get behind us from the start has been amazing.
I want to ask you about that, Kim, since you were there. Bring me back to the season opener, year one. a very short time after the October 1 shooting. And by the way, just to say this, I was at your preseason hockey game on October 1, the night of the shooting. I probably would have been at that concert if not for the Vegas Golden Knights preseason game that day. So let me start by saying that. Take me back to that season opener. I don't think there was a dry eye in the stands. It was so amazing the way you guys, honored the victims and the way the NHL came together and the way you guys helped the community. What do you remember most about that day?
I think just the impact and seeing, again, the community coming together with us and us feeling, I think that was when we really felt like we were a part of this community. We weren't these, outsiders, people that had just moved here. We were here. We were a part of it. The support that everyone gave each other and just like the emotions that ran on that day, on our home opener that night was just unreal. From game entertainment and running the 58 seconds of silence to Derek England, who doesn't do a lot of those huge speeches, to everything, and just seeing the fans and then us crushing it on the ice. It just really was like an amazing day for Las Vegas and the city, and you really just kind of felt like you belonged being inside T-Mobile.
Yeah, no question. It was a very emotional day, but I know that you guys as an organization have really helped a lot of people get through some very difficult times. So we certainly appreciate that. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Kim Frank. She is the Vice President of Marketing for the Vegas Golden Knights. They have the Hockey Fights Cancer tomorrow. Get there early for the game against the San Jose Sharks. We talked a little bit about Valiant, the documentary about the October 1 shooting and how the community came together with the Vegas Golden Knights. All right, let's move on now and let's talk a little bit about some of these holiday appearances that some of these Vegas Golden Knights players are going to be appearing during the holidays and helping some people out. Can you talk a little bit about that, Kim?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. 2 days ago, Max Pacioretty and Paul Stastny did a clinic with some kids to teach them street hockey. We have, Hockey Fights Cancer tomorrow night at the game. And then on Friday, we have a group of the guys going to Smith's where they are providing food for those that need it for Thanksgiving. They're going to be out there handing it out to pre-selected families that will be coming to Smith and picking up some food that they can then prepare for their families the following Thursday. And then as we move into December, there's so much that we do. The guys have a crazy travel schedule. So the wives are also adopting families where they're going to be purchasing holiday gifts for those that don't have the money or for foster children that don't have a family that might not be able to get a Christmas gift. Everyone should have a great holiday season. We have a toy drive coming up at our game on the 10th. And our guys will also be out doing hospital visits in December as well. So busy month with games, with busy months out in the community because the holidays are a super important part to everybody's
that is so fantastic. Obviously the casual Vegas Golden Knights fan, they know how good these players are on the ice, obviously, and many of these fans have been to games and they know how fun these games are at the T-Mobile. But I would say maybe some fans, they don't realize all the good things that you guys do in the community. Obviously, besides October 1 and how the community came together, what do you want the casual Vegas Golden Knights fan to know about your organization if somebody asked you that?
That as awesome as you see them on the ice are just as great and normal people, but giving everything off the ice.
Yeah, no question. And you guys do such a phenomenal job. And Kim, I really do appreciate your time. I hope everyone packs the T-Mobile tomorrow. Keep up the great work. We really appreciate you taking some time to join us and talking about that. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Sure, appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Kim.
There you go. It's Kim Frank, the Vice President of Marketing for VGK. And I can't say enough good things about this organization. Yeah, they win a lot of hockey games, and they're a fun team to watch, and these games are really exciting. But when you consider all the great things they do off the ice, I really want to watch this documentary, by the way. It sounds really cool.
I mean, it actually sounds like they have a totally different schedule outside of the rink.
Yeah, they do.
Where they're just in the community, just making a difference in so many different avenues and ways. And that's pretty impressive. And that's pretty time consuming. So, kudos to them for spending that much time doing what they do outside of the rink.
No question. I didn't want to get into the weeds into the actual game last night with Kim, but I do want to talk a minute or two about the game. So they were playing the Toronto Maple Leafs last night. The Maple Leafs are a very, very good hockey team. They're a playoff team, and some people are saying they could even contend for a Stanley Cup. They're that good. So
not that good.
The Knights, no, they are. They are very good. I mean, I disagree with you. I think they're very good. But last night was a fun game to watch. The Knights got out to an early lead. And then all of a sudden, Toronto comes back and they score a couple goals. And you look at the scoreboard and it's 3-2. It's 3-2 with a couple minutes left to go. It appeared to me that the Knights were on the heels of their skates, so to speak. And Toronto was looking to score that game-time goal with about 3 minutes left to go. So shot was taken at the point by a Maple Leafs player. It hits the crossbar. And as you know, when there's a rebound like that, it's one of the most difficult situations for a goaltender to get in position to make the next stop. Marc-Andre Fleury somehow, and unlucky for the Vegas Golden Knights, and lucky in a way. Lucky that it hit the crossbar and it didn't go in. Unlucky that the puck ended up right to another Maple Leafs player where he it was pretty much an open net at that point. Somehow Marc-Andre Fleury gets back in position and in the air dives and makes a glove save, a desperation glove save. I'm not sure any other goaltender in the world could have made that save. Somehow he's in the air. He dives for the puck with his glove. You know, I guess you can compare it to baseball. It's like one of those, what do you call it, a snow cone catch, grab in baseball. That's what it looked like. Everyone in the arena and most people watching on TV thought it was a goal, including Gerard Gallant, who said after the game that he thought it was a goal. And somehow Fleury makes the save. Now, make no mistake about it. If that puck goes in, the score is tied.
Yep, 3-3.
In all likelihood, at minimum, they lose a point. And the game probably, in all likelihood, goes into overtime. And who knows what happens there? It's 50-50.
And the save was completely crazy. First of all, Marc-Andre Fleury is on skates. He is on ice skates. He's about 4 feet. So you look at a rink. He's on the far right side of the rink. He's about 4 feet forward. He jumps backwards on skates about 5 feet, extends his left arm, and perfectly times this save. And it's one of the most unbelievable plays you'll ever see in a soccer goalie, a hockey goalie, anyone who's trying to stop an opponent from scoring. It's one of the most unbelievable plays you've ever seen. And you compare it to baseball, it would be like a first baseman standing on the first base line and a line drive being hit not just to his right, but also behind him, and jumping backwards 6 or 7 feet with his right arm and snagging the ball.
But JD, here's what's
but Marc-Andre Fleury did it on ice. He jumped on ice and jumped laterally like that, and that's what makes that play so amazing.
And by the way, if you missed it, we are going to be posting it right now on our Twitter page, so you can check it out. The save, it is actually unbelievable. Here's what's concerning, right? You could say that Marc-Andre Fleury is the reason why they've won these last few games. I mean, I know they won handily the other night 6-0, but Marc-Andre Fleury is, at least yesterday, is the reason why they're winning games right now. That's very concerning because they go on that 5-game skid. The Knights are not playing great hockey. They're just not. The forecheck is not where it needs to be. The passing is not as crisp as it needs to be.
I mean, Marchessault's on the second line now.
Yeah, the penalty killing has not been great.
I think the biggest problem with the team is Fleury had not been good, I didn't think, until the last 2 games. His save percentage is down about .25, which is quite
but they were getting outshot in a lot of these games, too.
No, they're not. They're actually
not now.
No, their shots on goal have not been the problem. They haven't had good shots. And their opponents have had, like, for example, we watched the game against the Blackhawks. The Knights had 42 shots on goal. The Blackhawks had 26. The Blackhawks won that game by 2.
Well, Fleury didn't have his best game. That was not his best game.
But the Knights weren't taking good. Just because you have a shot on goal, one of the worst teams in the NHL averages 37 shots on goal a game. But they don't score. They just take shots. When you take bad shots and you don't get back on defense, you're not going to consistently win games. And the Knights, for a while there, were not taking good shots on goals. And I think that's been the difference the last couple of games is they've been taking better shots instead of just looking for any shot. When you watch that Blackhawks game, I mean, there was either a goalie right in the way of the goal or of the rink or of the net, and then on sometimes there would be a defender right in front of the goalie, just right there, right on the perfect angle.
Well, that's where they're supposed to
stop the shot. I agree.
Yeah,
and the Knights
they're supposed to be trying.
They haven't had a lot of good shots though.
I think it's a little bit more than just not having quality opportunities. I think it has a lot to do with defensively, giving up breakaways, giving up odd man rushes. I think it has a lot to do with the forecheck too. They haven't been as physical as they've been in the first 2 years of the franchise. I think there are a lot of reasons that add up. They've had some injuries. Alex Tuch just getting back. There's been some injuries on this team, and some new players and some players that maybe haven't played with each other a lot. But, make no mistake about it. If they're as inconsistent as they have been this year, I'm not sure they sneak into the playoffs. I think they're good enough, certainly good enough to be a playoff team, but we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. Tomorrow night's a big game. San Jose Sharks are coming to town. Hopefully Evander Kane has paid off his $500,000 markers. I'll try to get an update on that one. But it's always fun watching Evander Kane and Ryan Reeves get into it on the ice. When they are on the ice at the same time, to me, there's nothing more fun than watching those two guys go at it. So tomorrow's going to be a very, very, very entertaining game. Our thanks to Kim Frank from the Vegas Golden Knights, Vice President of Marketing, joining us. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, it is a major cheating scandal in Major League Baseball. Why are you not hearing about this? Well, we'll talk about it and what is going to be the repercussions for the Houston Astros. We'll get to that. We'll take your calls. We'll be right back after this. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDAWN.
Looking for that perfect new piece of furniture for your home? A New Concept Furniture is the place to start and end your search. They'll beat any price on the internet, and they're here locally, so you can feel what you're buying first. Go to A New Concept Furniture today at 4255 South Grand Canyon to see for yourself the slick, modern, shiny store that mirrors our shiny city. A New Concept. Check out their showroom or call them at 702-570-2240. That's 702-570-2240.
SportsX Radio Nation, what's up? It's Ken Thompson, host of SportsX Radio, reminding you to catch me at my new time, 8 to 10 p.m. for all the local Vegas sports coverage, plus the national scene as well. That's SportsX Radio on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN.
V is for victory, except on Saturdays when V is for veterans. That's Veterans Talk, the Forgotten Promise. Join us every Saturday from noon to 1.
Veterans Talk every Saturday at noon on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
Hi, this is Harvey Blankfeld, host of Las Vegas Real Estate Now. Please tune in every Saturday at 11 a.m. and listen to us deliver timely, balanced truths about our market right here in Southern Nevada. There's nothing that I enjoy more than educating our listeners about real estate, except maybe a well-prepared Reuben sandwich where the corned beef is really lean. Sorry, I digress. But please do tune in every Saturday at 11 a.m. and learn about real estate right here on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDAWN, the talk of Las Vegas.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Hill with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Children love to play, but did you know play is important for healthy brain development? Play helps children learn language, math, and social skills, and lowers stress. This is good for kids and their parents. The next time your child wants to play with you, say yes. It's one of the best parts of being a parent. For more information on child development, visit healthychildren.org or talk with your pediatrician.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Morse, the Executive Director of the Josh Stevens Foundation, born out of the heart of a young boy, Josh Stevens, who passed away in a tragic accident a month before his 13th birthday. The Josh Stevens Foundation is now spreading kindness on school campuses in more than 12 states and 350 schools. Help us to spread kindness with the Josh Stevens Foundation. You can do this by signing up to volunteer through our website, purchasing one of our Be Kind shirts through our online store, or encourage your school to join our Be Kind program and become a Be Kind school at joshstevensfoundation.org. We'd love to hear from you and appreciate all of you continuing to spread kindness throughout our community.
This is Chelsea Stunkel with the Nevada Highway Patrol. Buckle up, drive safe, and don't drive impaired. No excuse is worth your life, and we want everyone to have 0 fatalities as their goal. If you see an impaired driver, dial 911 or star NHP and get those drunk drivers off the road. Please be safe out there.
My son is a handsome young man, like a movie star. There's no limit to what he can do. I don't know why he would ruin himself with alcohol. When I think about the happy boy he used to be and how sad his life is now, it breaks my heart. I love him as much as I ever did, maybe more, but I don't understand why this is happening. My therapist recommended I go to Al-Anon family groups. He said Al-Anon members have lived through the same kinds of things that are happening to my family. I didn't want to go to Al-Anon, and I didn't want anyone to know how difficult it's been. But I'm glad I went. Is someone's drinking breaking your heart? You might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-AL-ANON or go to alanon.org.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
Remind my friends on the other side of the aisle that our first president
George Washington directed his own diplomatic channels to secure a treaty with Great Britain.
Oh, that would be our good friend, Mr. Nunez, who is just an absolute buffoon. By the way, if you're just joining us and you haven't been watching any of the proceedings this morning, the impeachment inquiry, Ambassador Sondland has been on the stand, so to speak, speaking in front of Congress, and it has been riveting testimony. It really has. Sondland is saying that there was a quid pro quo. He's saying that it started with the president all the way down, that people in the administration knew exactly what was going on as far as withholding aid, including Mr. Pompeo, including many others, including Mike Pence. Mike Pence, the vice president, knew what was going on with this pressure on the to withhold aid to the Ukrainians. This is a big deal, and it is not going anywhere. We're going to see Bolton testify. We're going to see the subpoenas flying, and this is not the end. But to this date, this has been the most riveting testimony and the most damning and the most damaging to the president of the United States. And I'll tell you what they just played. Remember when Mulvaney did a press conference, that lunatic? And he said that, yeah, there was a quid pro quo. Get over it, media. Get over it. Yes, this was a quid pro quo. And then Trump got all pissed off, and then the next day he had to retract what he said. Well, Ambassador Sondland is now being questioned by Castro, and Castro just played that audio of Mulvaney. You can't really take back your words when you hold a press conference and you say things like that. Absolutely, this is a quid pro quo. There's no question about it. So we will continue to monitor these proceedings. They will be going on throughout the day today, make no mistake. In studio tomorrow, attorney Michael Avenatti will be joining us. The Mooch, Anthony Scaramucci, will be joining us as well. We'll get his take on what he thinks about these impeachment inquiry proceedings. And also John Kasich, former presidential candidate. He's got a new book out, former governor. Really good guy. I respect him a lot. He's been one of the few Republicans out there that has been speaking out in regards to the behavior of Donald Trump. Why? Why is he one of the few? Why are there not more Republicans out there that are speaking out? If you don't think that this is or rises to the level of an impeachment, that's fine. It's a fair debate to have, and you can have that debate. But if you're one of those Republicans that thinks that the president did absolutely nothing wrong, when the evidence is just overwhelming from witness to witness that there was a quid pro quo and that he absolutely withheld the aid because he wanted to get dirt on the Bidens and he wanted to open up an investigation. He wanted the Ukrainians to do so. If you think that is totally okay and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, then you are either completely biased, in my personal opinion, or ignorant, or maybe both. Obviously, it was inappropriate. Obviously, it was wrong for the president to do this. Obviously, it was an embarrassment for him to do this. And by the way, he didn't have to do it. He didn't have to, get some dirt into the Bidens. It wasn't necessary. But there's no question in my mind that there are many Republicans in the Senate. There are many Republicans that do not have a backbone. Listen, in many instances, I would say the same thing about the Democrats as well. But in this specific situation, I'm talking about Republicans. Are some of these Republicans going to be able to change their mind and say, you know what this president did was wrong? Is it going to be impeachable? No, I don't think so. I don't think the Republicans are going to do that. I'm not sure these proceedings are going to change anyone's mind. If you haven't already changed it by now, you're probably not going to change it in the future. You can't get more evidence than this, folks, other than an actual video recording of a quid pro quo of the president actually saying, hey, I'm going to withhold this aid unless you open up an investigation of the Bidens. Other than that evidence, you have everything else there. You have firsthand knowledge now from Sondland, and many others are going to be testifying in the future, and there'll be more firsthand knowledge. There's no reason why Sondland would be lying. In fact, there was all the evidence to support the fact that at the start, Sondland wanted to try to protect the president, and then when he realized he couldn't do that, that he'd be caught lying, and he didn't want to end up like Paul Manafort, he didn't want to end up like Michael Cohen, he didn't want to go to jail, he decided to actually tell the truth. And that's exactly what he did. By the way, speaking of telling the truth, I just want to mention this before we go. Have you heard about this story with the Houston Astros stealing signs? The Major League Baseball commissioner saying that the punishments could be severe in this sign stealing scandal. What do you make of this, JD?
I think that the Astros definitely cheated in 2017.
What do you think the punishment should be?
I don't know. You could take away the championship. You could. I mean, there's a number of things. The problem is that it's a big franchise. They have a huge following. They've been very relevant for a couple of years. They bring back an outstanding roster. I did find it odd that Garrett Cole basically left the way that he did. after the World Series was over, he put on a Scott Boras hat and said, I'm no longer a member of the Houston Astros organization. I don't know what this punishment should be. I want to learn more about it, but there's a video of several screens in one of the in the clubhouse, and there's players walking by back and forth, watching it, looking at it. Alex Bregman, Carlos Correa, and there's peanuts all over the ground. I mean, something definitely happened there. There's a video where you can hear the tap. There's a tap that is made whenever there's a specific, whether it's a changeup or a fastball. There's a lot of evidence that supports that this is real, and if it is real, I don't necessarily know what the punishment should be, because there's so many games in Major League Baseball. You've got 161 games. Do you make them not play? I guess one thing that you could do is you could make them postseason ineligible for a couple of years while they have the team that they have. You could probably do that, as well as take away that championship in 2017. But besides that, with baseball, it's kind of a different sport for those type of punishments.
We'll have to wait and see what happens here. It's going to be very interesting, but they got caught. This is very similar to what the New England Patriots did.
It looks like they got caught, but it's not confirmed yet, but it doesn't look good.
What I was saying was this is very similar to what the New England Patriots did against the Rams years back. I think when I was like 18 or 19 years old with that situation with Spygate. And then Bill Belichick took the mic, never apologized for anything. I want to see how the Houston Astros respond to this. If they are caught, found guilty 100%, I want some apologies. I want them to apologize to their fans, to apologize to the integrity of Major League Baseball, because they were certainly a part of that. Okay, so we got to take a 21-hour break. When we come back tomorrow morning, attorney Michael Avenatti will be joining us in studio. Always fun when Michael joins us, especially when he's in studio. We're also going to be joined on the phone by the Mooch himself. What did he last? About 10 days in the Trump administration. Anthony Scaramucci will be joining us, and former presidential candidate and former Governor John Kasich. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Sean Hannity coming up next.
The only FM news talk station in the Valley. 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.